Gregory, you're all in blue today, and the brown brogues are all polished and everything. Very official looking.
Got my
today.
autumn boots on.
The winter set in.
Autumn boots. No, it's the autumn.
Yeah, it is autumn.
But looks like it's not autumn. Summer's back, boy.
Summer's here. Donald has that Hawaiian shirt. He's not in studio at the minute. So
no. He just give it about 10 seconds to 9.
He'll dance in there. Yeah.
Donald's very expressive with his clothes, isn't he?
He loves it. He likes his clothes. Maybe you might get that way.
You kind of half suspect the ukulele's lurking somewhere on his person.
You'd love it if he should take it
just
in.
At any point. He just looks like at any point that we could whip the ukulele out and away he could go.
He doesn't need ukulele to sing. Look, he's ready. Look, he has a tune at the top of his head.
I mean, do you have your ukulele on your person, Donald?
Actually, no, Greg, I don't.
I bet you it's in the car.
No, it's not actually. It's on the kitchen table. I was doing a bit of work on a song last night because I'm doing something this afternoon with a person I'm teaching something to. So I was doing a bit of work on it last night. Yeah.
Excellent. You can see just these.
That's his go-to. It's not the phone. Do you know people just have to have the phone with me all the time? It's the ukulele.
Well, he's been told he can't use the ukulele for an hour before going to bed.
All right, yeah, too much.
Too much adrenaline.
Too much fingering.
Anyway, it looks very smart nonetheless.
Yeah, he does.
Lee, you can play an instrument.
I used to be able to play.
The fiddle, wasn't it?
I played the fiddle, keyboard, singing.
Is it like a language? If you don't use it, you lose it,
yeah, well, you have to. Like, it's funny, the fingers, don't know and say this, if anybody's played an instrument, your fingers always remember.
Muscle memory.
That's the word. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. But you need to practice. Practice. Right. Even, but I haven't practiced.
Get back into it.
Yeah.
Get the show back on the road.
Me and you and Donald have a boy band.
I can't do anything. That's why I can sit here.
You can be the boy at the back. It looks good. Just moves.
Oh, what's the fellow with Happy Mondays? Donald, what was his name? Bez?
Bez.
Yeah, I can be Bez. Just dance around on stage.
That's good.
Nothing.
You got that look, you see.
Right. Okay. All right. It is the 9 till noon. Lee, bye. Sorry. Bye. All right, it's the 9 till noon show, and it is 9 o'clock, which means it's news time, and it's a very good morning to Donald Cavett.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A new report shows there are 3 applications for every student bed on university campuses. High construction costs mean more accommodation is not being built. Stephanie Rowan has more details.
This report, entitled Funding the Future, found accommodation in universities was oversubscribed by almost 30,000 for the last academic year. This means there were 3 applications for every 1 student bed. Those who miss out are forced into the private market, putting pressure on the rental market as a whole. More student accommodation is clearly needed, but it's estimated the cost of building a single ensuite room in the Greater Dublin area is over €200,000. Over 11,000 units within the student sector have received planning permission, but this hasn't been activated because of the costs involved.
Donegal County Council is being urged to reorganise its winter roads programme to ensure that public and school transport routes are prioritised. Councillor Declan Meehan says in recent years there has been significant investment in public transport in Donegal, particularly through the local link service. However, he says that'll be undermined if services can't operate in bad weather.
I think it's fantastic, the investment that has gone into public transport across this area and across the county over the past number of years. But if there's a bad frost, it should not mean that public transport is halted, particularly in the rural areas where it's needed the most, particularly for people who don't have access to cars. So we're looking that the gritting will also include public transport routes across the area.
The more buses you have on the road, the less cars you have on the road. This could work to everyone's benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, as I say, there's been significant investment in local link, also in private licensees.
8 in 10 farmers feel rural Ireland isn't receiving enough investment in infrastructure such as roads and broadband. The same number also say the so-called green agenda has negatively impacted their economic viability. The survey was conducted by the ICMSA ahead of the ploughing championships. And it's been confirmed a foul taste and smell coming from tap water in some parts of Northern Ireland has to do with algae in Lough Neagh. The North's Infrastructure Minister says even his home is among those affected, but John O'Dowd insists the water is safe to drink.
NI Water's number one priority is the quality and safety of your drinking water. I'm aware of a number of customers that have been reporting a taste and smell in their drinking water supply. This is related to increased algae levels in Lough Neagh, which contain naturally occurring compounds that may cause an unpleasant taste and smell even after going through NI Water's robust treatment process. NI Water are working to reduce the impact of these compounds as they move through the water supply system and are work closely on a daily basis with the Drinking Water Inspectorate and the Public Health Agency to ensure the water is safe to drink.
Weather forecast dry and pleasant today with long spells of warm sunshine. Top temperatures 19 to 21 degrees Celsius in light to moderate southeast to east breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock. Check all of the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
Health means VHI are here for the whole you, with the whole of us. Our own doctors, our own health centres, and a wide range of our own specialists. From dermatologists and paediatricians to women's health experts. VHI, because your health means everything. VHI Insurance DAC trading as VHI Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 17th of September 2024. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. We look forward to your company for the next 3 hours on the show. Loads of stuff coming up, as you can imagine, including Community Garda information. That's just after 10 o'clock, where you get the very latest news, appeals and information from An Garda Síochána first here every Tuesday on the 9 till Noon Show. You can watch that and the rest of the day's proceedings on our social media channels. If you're at home, you can watch us on your smart TV or your Fire Stick on the YouTube app. It's Highland Radio Ireland. We're streaming on the X platform at Highland Radio and on Facebook. Highland Radio News, Sport and Obituaries and Highland Hub. Okay, let's look at some of the stories making the front and inside of the newspapers today. Starting with the Irish Independent, and the scale of dereliction across the country has been laid bare, with commercial vacancy rates as high as 1 in 3 units in the worst hit areas, as closures of traditional pubs and shop continue in small towns. The number of vacant commercial properties has hit an all-time high, according to the latest report from Geodirectory, a data business backed by An Post and the Ordnance Survey. Donegal had a commercial vacancy rate of 19.4% in the second quarter. That had jumped by 1.5% points in the year to the end of June, the highest increase recorded in the period. So there you have it. Not surprising that we here in Donegal are seeing some of the highest rates, and traditionally, isn't it Ballybofey Stranola that has the highest rate of commercial vacancy. A lot of it just sits there, if you know what I mean. I said in an interview last year that, are we counting the same properties again? It's based on active air codes as well, which sometimes I think maybe buildings have been used for different ways or what have you. But when you see an increase, so we've seen a 1.5 increase, you can't ignore that statistic, and does show seemingly a worsening problem, or people doing business in a different way. I'm not really quite sure. I'm just mentioning this because it affects all of us, because it may well affect all of our children, or maybe you're seeing patterns of behaviour in your children and you're wondering why. A new cannabis substitute is causing severe psychosis in young men that requires months of intensive inpatient treatment, the College of Psychiatrists has warned. HHC, which first emerged in 22, is chemically similar to THC, the active ingredient in cannabis, and produces comparable psychological effects. It is commonly available in the form of vapes or added to jellies or chocolate. It is legal in Ireland and has become increasingly popular here in the last year. It is sold widely in shops and is often marketed as safer or less strong alternative to cannabis. So this is readily available. On first look at it, if you're a younger person or whatever age you might be, you might think, well, there's no harm. It's not particularly illegal. And I'm told it's not as bad as cannabis, which I'm told is not as bad as drink, which I'm told is not as bad as cocaine. And on it goes. And that's why people might tend to use it, you see. The College of Psychiatrists said HHC is a factor in about 20% of presentations to adolescent addiction services. It's called on the government to ban HHC using legislation introduced in 2010 to tackle a surge in dangerous but legal substances being sold from so-called head shops around the country. So we're in that space again. You'll remember the head shop stories, won't you? Professor Bobby Smith, specialist consultant, child and adolescent addiction psychiatrist, said these head shops caused a huge amount of damage in young people, and we're seeing a similar trend now with HHC. So I'm not sure if you've any experience of that. If you wish to discuss that, let us know. 086 60 25,000. The latest numbers are out from RTE and they're the front of the Irish Daily Mail, and they show that losses at RTE tripled to 9.1 million last year in an all-time low for the scandal-hit national broadcaster. The deficit for 23 is over 3 times higher than the 2.8 million notched up the year before, and the worst since the 13 million recorded in 2018, with RTE warning costs are on course to rise again this year as it criticised the TV licensing model. Now, let's not forget, a cheque has just been written for €700 million for RTE, plus their take in terms of advertising, plus their take in terms of charging us to watch GAA at times, and still they've tripled their losses to €9.1 million. The undisclosed payment scandal resulted in the licence fee income plummeting by 17.3 million in the year in a public backlash, while advertising revenue dropped and general operating costs rose, driven by high inflation and the 9.8 million cost of a union pay agreement kicking in. They've also published the high earners list as well, if it's something that you might be interested in. And it's comparable then, it's compared to last year. So these are figures for 23 compared to 22. Joe Duffy, he's on in the afternoon, of course. He collected €351,000. That's the exact same that he collected in 22. Claire Byrne, she's on €280,000 per year. That's a drop of 40 grand. Miriam O'Callaghan, she's on €263,500, the exact same she was receiving in 22. Ray Darcy, believe it or not, for his show, gets €250,000 per year. His wages are unchanged. Ryan Tuberty still was paid €245,000 in 23. Brendan O'Connor at the weekends, he does 2 shows at the weekends, €245,000, his pay unchanged from the year before. Mary Wilson is just shy of 200 grand a year. A slight increase, actually. She got a 2 grand pay rise. Brian Dobson, who's recently retired, he collected 194,000 in 2023. Darren Maloney, who is, I think he might work in sport, 186,000. And then George Lee, which I think is quite interesting because I don't really hear George Lee much, or I don't consume much RTE, but he comes on now and again if there's another virus going around or something like that. He's on €185,000. Which is really quite remarkable because I get the same press releases he does for the most part. But I presume he does other fantastic investigative stuff that I'm just not aware of. So that's the pay packets for those in RTE. What about your pay packet? According to the Irish Daily Star, Finance Minister Jack Chambers has promised workers they'll benefit by at least €1,000 per year in the budget, as his party leader Micheál Martin insisted his general election won't be until next February. Money Minister Chambers promised that Budget 25 will put more dough back in people's pockets, which is a phrase I abhor, but anyway, than in previous years. He said that the amount workers and householders will claw back through energy credits, tax cuts and other costs of living measures will add up to £1,000. USC will be a central component of the income tax package that I design, he said. We really want to target low and middle income earners and workers in our economy, ensuring that we have a competitive income tax system that rewards work. There'll be progressivity, which is a word I wasn't familiar with, progressivity in how we design that, which is an important component of all budgets that we've developed. So that is Jack Chambers promising an extra €1,000, saving workers €1,000 per year. We shall see. And there's been a round of sort of national interviews on various radio stations with the various party leaders as they meet ahead of the Dáil. And I don't know if you've listened to them or how you would rank them. I'm thinking more Simon Harris, Micheál Martin and Mary Lou McDonald. If you've listened to any of those, I'd be interested in your assessment as who do you think is the most competent? Who do you believe comes across as the least competent? I would have my own views as a voter, but that's not for now. The Irish Daily Mirror. A man who had been at a party when he allegedly left an apartment with a young child under his arm has been remanded in custody. The defendant, in his mid-20s, cannot be named, and you know the reason it can't be named kind of becomes obvious if you read the reasons why the Garda didn't want him named. So I'll just read the paragraph and I think people can make up their own minds. The defendant in his mid-20s cannot be named after Garda cited the sensitivity of the case in the current climate. They were granted a reporting restriction order. He's accused that without lawful authority or reasonable excuse, he intentionally attempted to take cause to be taken, detained or caused to be detained a child under 16. The man appeared at Dublin District Court yesterday, and the attempted abduction case was held in camera, meaning the public could not attend. Now, many of you might message in as it relates to that and make some commentary about what the background of that person may or may not be. We're not really at liberty to read them out as such because we could in some way compromise the outcome of that case, believe it or not. Garda Laura McDermott told Judge Gerard Jones the man's reply to the charge was, "I was not taking the child anywhere. I'm not a person like that. I do not have any intention with a child. I do not have any bad or unwanted intention with a child." He was remanded and will appear at Cloverhill District Court tomorrow for a bail application. And on to a story that was covered extensively across all news channels yesterday, and it is Hugh Edwards. He's described as a shamed BBC star in the papers today. And obviously, just to be careful if there's younger people in the car, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but obviously, mums and dads have to make the call on this. It'll only be for about 30 seconds. Shamed BBC star Hugh Edwards described a batch of depraved videos, the type of videos he had, as amazing, a court heard yesterday. He also replied, "Go on," when offered some, in inverted commas, naughty pictures and videos of a boy later estimated to be aged between 7 and 9. The obscene material was sent to Edwards by a young paedophile he was paying money to, it emerged. Magistrates heard he gave Alex Williams up to £1,500 in cash gifts. Details of Edwards' behaviour emerged as he appeared in court for sentencing yesterday after admitting in July 3 charges of making indecent images. He's 63 and he's a father of 5. He got 6 months in jail, but it was suspended for 2 years. He must also complete a 40-day sex treatment programme and 25 rehabilitation sessions. Now, this is the only stuff that was found, right, on his WhatsApp. There was other messaging systems that they could not access. He had images, and for him to have those images, stuff had to happen to children, and they had to be videoed. And who is to say the immediate impact it had on those children, the abuse that they suffered to please a pervert like him, what they had to suffer, and how that might affect them for the rest of their lives, knowing that it was videoed and it's out there. He gets 6 months suspended sentence. Now, the judiciary will tell you, well, that's in line with sentencing guidelines. Okay, well, maybe that's the problem, because it is impossible not to make a comparison between the recent prison sentences handed out in Britain. Now, the people that was sentenced recently as it relates to activity on the streets and stuff that was said and throwing stuff at police and what have you, they're not innocent people necessarily. You might believe that there have some just motivation, right? But they did do crimes by the state of the law. But their crimes received sentences 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years, straight into prison. And we have someone who is effectively making a market for the abuse of children, and then citing mental health as if in some way you're poor mental health. There are lots of people with bad mental health. I have bad mental health myself at some times. It doesn't mean you're this type of a person, which I think is really quite... I hate when that's used as a defence. Oh, he's gone through a bad moment, but we all have gone through bad moments, but we don't do this to children. He did. And he gets 6 months and 18 month... 6 months suspended for 2 years or 18 months, whatever it might be. And yet you see the types of sentences handed down for other crimes and the terrible impact this is going to have on those children and the millions of other children that are impacted by this kind of behaviour. And there's his face for those of you watching. But anyway, that seems to be the world that we live in. I don't know if you have any views on that. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp and text to that number, or give us a call in 07491 25,000. We're going to be back with much more on the 9 till noon show after we take this quick break.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
You've heard of the egg muffin, but have you heard of the gloriously delicious Centra egg muffin with the legendary Super Queen sausage? An Irish national treasure. The egg muffin is a sizzling new addition to Centra deli counters around the country, meaning breakfast just got so much better. Centra, live every day.
Home improvements are well worth making, especially when they build towards a more sustainable future for us all. SSE Airtricity is here to help with the Generation Green Home Upgrade. From insulation, heating, solar panels, windows and doors to full home retrofits, we're your one-stop shop for energy solutions to suit all budgets. It's a simple, hassle-free process with end-to-end project management and a streamlined SEAI grant application process. So make some home improvements that will make a real difference at ssceairtricity.com/home upgrade. Registered with the SEAI for home energy upgrades. Grants offered are provided by the Government of Ireland through the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland.
If you're heading off on holidays, why not treat yourself to a pair of designer sunglasses? At Louis Walsh Opticians, you'll find a full range of top-name sunglasses at great prices, so you'll look your best while your eyes are properly protected. For a sight test with an OCD 3D scan, contact lenses or a driver's sight report, Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny's longest established and family-run opticians, are located in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Call 91 21000.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rocking Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. If you're celebrating a birthday or a work night out, Arena 7 Entertainment Complex has it all. Check out arena7.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Oh, the time now is 19 minutes past 9. You're very welcome back to the programme. Right, we're rejoined on the programme by Dr. Ciara Steele, who we chatted to a couple of weeks ago on the importance of ventilation in our schools. And we can also talk about it, I suppose, in the context of the COVID inquiry. It's an important issue, and we had to rush it a little bit the last time. So we welcome back onto the programme Dr. Ciara Steele. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good to have you with us. So for those who didn't tune in the last time, you are a huge advocate, aren't you, of cleaner air in our schools or cleaner air in our schools. Outline the reasons for us why.
Well, we spend about 90% of our time indoors, and children spend about 2/3 of their day, 2/3 of that time in a school environment. So they really aren't able to make decisions about their environmental controls. So we felt we have to advocate for children in particular in a school environment to make sure that we're bringing awareness about indoor air quality to the health and well-being of children in our schools and other high-density indoor environments like healthcare and large offices, for example.
Yeah, indeed. And this is not about having windows and doors open, people sitting indoors with their coats on and what have you. I mean, we have technology and innovation that allows this to happen in just a very natural way that you wouldn't even notice.
Well, it's really part of that. The Indoor Air Quality Standards Code of Practice does encourage ventilation, but not at the expense of other well-being qualifiers like temperature. So ventilation is really important, but in those settings in particular where ventilation can impact on well-being, such as temperature, then we need to use tools like air filters to improve indoor air quality.
And I'll put the same question to you that I did the last time, because for those who may not have listened before, it might be an obvious one. Do we not need to catch a little bit of stuff, to build up our immune system, make us better? That some might feel that, if kids are raised and taught in a clear environment, that it might leave them more vulnerable when they do actually eventually catch what we're trying to avoid them catching and spreading.
I think what you're talking about there is the idea of immunity debt, and that's not scientifically or medically accepted. Our immune system is a defense against the insults of bacteria and virus, and air filters can collect those from the air. They're usually really small particle size, less than 5 microns in size, and HEPA filters can collect particle matter below 2.5 microns in size. So they're a really important tool to clean pollutants and bioaerosols from the air. So I don't think people are aware that indoor pollution is quite high from VOCs and mold, pollen, dust mite, smoke. There's a wide range of indoor pollutants that can affect health, and viruses and bacteria are one of those. And I suppose that's the
So in
particular.
relation to clean air, obviously, I'm framing questions based on stopping the spread of airborne disease or bacteria, whatever the terminology is. But if you have younger people, and we seem to have a high instance of lung conditions here in the Northwest, for an example, it would assist, would it, in that the younger people, or even those in offices, would be breathing less polluted air. So if they had asthma or bronchitis or something, that they would be better off?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. We've got the highest rate of asthma in Europe. So it's of particular concern to the Irish setting, the Irish context. But asthma COPD exactly can be improved by improving indoor air quality. I mean, those with asthma and COPD who use inhalers know the therapeutic impact of inhaling medication to improve their conditions. But what we want to create awareness is that they can also be improved by improving the quality of the air that is inhaled and breathed as well.
Yeah, okay. Sinead O'Brien, or is it O'Brien? I beg your pardon, Sinead, sorry.
O'Brien,
It's all right. Sinead O'Brien's from Clean Air Advocacy in Ireland, and we're just running through there with Dr. Ciara Steele, a Donegal GP, of course, about the benefits of clear air, and she's laid out really quite well. I'm not surprised if there's going to be a bit of overlapping in your point of view, but what is your argument for clean air?
Well, hi, Greg. And I'd just like to firstly thank you for discussing this topic, and for Ciara for highlighting this issue as a medical doctor. I know for a lot of the members in Clean Air Advocacy Ireland, who have read up on the benefits, are kind of going out of their mind and getting very frustrated that, we're 5 years into a global pandemic of an airborne virus, and, we're not implementing the tools that are available to us.
Sorry, Sinead, not to cut across you. I think that probably is the problem, and that's why I'm trying to distance it slightly from COVID, because obviously there's a lot of learning from COVID, but there's not an awful lot of interest amongst the public in hearing about COVID, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I think
that could be a little bit, but my point is I think, that it's definitely very important. It's brought into focus, and you can say whatever you wish to say, but I think the broader positives maybe that we've learned through COVID, i.e., those with asthma or allergies or whatever it might be, to kind of broadens it out to a more interested population. But you can disagree, of course, whatever you feel, Sinead.
Yeah, well, I think it's still a fact that, we are in a pandemic, and the WHO has stated this. But I take your point that I think a lot of people are fatigued by the topic, and they just would like, to be able to say, okay, well, it's over. But, it's one thing to wish something is the case, and another, we have to also face reality. So I think you're right. Throughout the entire pandemic, we've learned a huge amount. I mean, I certainly have. I don't have a medical background, and I know way more about the benefits of clean air than I did 5 years ago. And I think that, I suppose it's disappointing in that respect that a layperson like myself and lots of other parents involved in our group and individuals in our group are now having to advocate for this. It's really something that we feel that I suppose should be called upon by public health authorities, because as you've identified, there are many benefits beyond COVID to cleaning the air. Now, to be positive about it, in Ireland, we're actually kind of ahead of the curve, because I know there are other jurisdictions that are petitioning and campaigning to legislate for clean air, but we already have actually a HSA, the Health and Safety Authority Code of Practice, that's now backed up by law as of the 26th of May 2023. And that's supported by, I'm just going to call it out here, the Safety, Health and Welfare at Work Act 2005. So essentially any employer has to comply with that Health and Safety at Work Act 2005, which now requires them to take into account the risks regarding their indoor air.
Yeah, with all that in mind, I mean, obviously there's a number of schools that are out to tender, or tenders have just been awarded, or going to planning, or going to construction. I mean, really, you can tell the intent from a national perspective here in Ireland, how much clean air and clean air in classrooms forms part of those planning conditions, if at all. Do we know that? Do we have that information?
I believe in the code of practice, new buildings are required to follow the code effectively.
Mhm.
But even existing workplaces need to assess the indoor air quality, and so that will require, I suppose, utilizing CO2 monitors to see if there's a CO2 buildup in the rooms. What kind of just cross ventilation can be achieved by opening windows and by installing HEPA filters. There's, there, I suppose, from my perspective, it's obviously terrible to live in interesting times when it comes to the spread of viruses and things, but we are very fortunate that we live in a time when we have the technology to be able to actually mitigate those risks. So I think the main aim and call of our group is that we just kind of make people aware of their rights and obligations under the HSA Code of Practice, but also that the tools are relatively cheap and affordable and easy to implement, and actually would have long-term benefits for employers in terms of retaining staff at work, them not
Sick
being
leave and what
ill.
have you.
Yeah.
Doctor,
Some studies have shown that absence and sickness rates can decrease by 30% by improving indoor air quality. And the Lancet, which is a well-recognized task force, has done a research study in school settings, and improving ventilation and cleaning the air can improve cognitive function tests and performance equivalent to an extra 6 weeks worth of schooling. So it's really relevant in a school setting. Parents don't really want to be stressed too much by thinking about the next infection, but the problem is that will probably happen now again in the next week or two in school. But they want to know that their kids are in a safe environment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all we boys in a outdoor NINRA. So it'll be interesting to see this year if that has any positive impact on when we start seeing these viruses spread. Dr. Steele, do you have any insight into the standards in terms of air quality that schools must be built to now? Because I think it's an interesting, as I say, I think that would really show the intent. I know there might be guidelines and expectations, but I mean, if a school is going to construction now, are the students of the future in it going to be sitting in a classroom where the air is purified and treated? I doubt it. They are.
Well, I think some of the new constructions have heat recovery ventilation, which offers some sort of air filtration, but that would be on the level, I think, of about 2 air changes per hour. And WHO guidelines and the HSA Code of Practice recommend 6 air changes per hour, and so there's a gap there. There's a way to go to be able to improve to meet the standards that are recommended. But 6 air changes per hour can be introduced with portable air filters into the school setting as they exist. It's quite costly to retrofit a whole building, but you can introduce portable air filters into specific settings like classrooms, offices, healthcare facilities. I have a HEPA filter in my office here. So, it's quite easy to introduce it. Yeah.
The one thing that was kind of interesting in the whole COVID thing, Sinead, was the focus on telling us not to do things like sneeze into our hands and shake hands with someone else, or to wash our hands after we go to the toilet. So obviously, we're kind of some way behind in kind of the basic stuff we should have been doing anyway.
Yeah, well, I suppose, washing hands, and that's essential. That's something that we should all be doing anyway. But I think there was a huge amount of emphasis on, the hand sanitizer and surface cleaning. And I know, just anecdotally, I've encountered people in public where, I do wear a mask when I go into public places, just because I had a very terrible experience with COVID myself and I don't want to repeat it. And I remember one encounter was a parent, and she was getting very stressed about her kids going back to school, because she was saying, I don't know what they're going to come home with this time, once they go back. I clean their books, I clean everything. She was concerned that the schools weren't cleaning the surfaces of the tables. But she had no awareness that a lot of these viruses are spread through the air. And I think there's a major educational
and do you still do
that
that, Sinead? Like, you still wear your mask? Do you still wipe stuff down?
I don't wipe surfaces excessively, but I do wear a mask in public places.
And are you vulnerable, if you don't mind me asking? Is it?
I think we're all effectively vulnerable.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, in the way that probably most people would understand the question.
Well, I wouldn't have considered myself to be vulnerable before I got COVID. Let's put it that way. But when I did, my infection was in May 2022. I was out sick for a month. I developed vertigo. I had lost my balance. I had double vision. I couldn't drive. Like, it really impacted my day-to-day activities. And now that I have a baby, I can't afford to miss a month of my life when you have to look after somebody. So I am very cautious myself.
I think the infection protection control guidance has learned, through scientifically about aerosol transmission, and many of the assumptions that were here from before have improved. The scientific evidence for aerosol transmission of a multitude of respiratory viruses has improved, and the infection prevention control emphasis had been on hand washing, but that guidance needs to emphasize aerosol transmission precautions. With a lot of campaigns about hand washing, singing your song, singing happy birthday when you're washing your hands, which is all important and relevant. But I suppose the appreciation of the main mode of transmission of a respiratory virus is aerosol transmission, and respiratory precautions need to be taken.
So, Ciara, just to sort of wrap it up, what needs to happen next then? Are you saying that the Department of Health sort of needs to consider this and roll out some sort of a plan to actually provide this type of technology that's there to clean the air in our classrooms? That would be the victory in this campaign, so to speak.
Exactly, yeah. In order to mitigate the economic and long-term health impacts and consequences, parents need to be understanding what they're entitled to under the Code of HSA practice for indoor air quality in Ireland. Employers need to understand that, and then government needs to implement tools to enable that easily without barriers in our indoor spaces for health, economic benefits, financial benefits, and for health benefits.
And Sinead, last word from you.
Yeah, to reiterate what Ciara said, we really need more education in the public in terms of how these viruses are spread and the tools that are available to mitigate against them.
Okay, listen, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely speaking to you, Sinead. Thank you, Sinead O'Brien there. Take care of yourself. And Dr. Ciara Steele, lovely to chat to you again. Have a lovely day.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay, any views on that? Let us know. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
This fire grate's burnt out again.
I told you, get a heavy duty grate from Fire Grates Donegal.
But I need one right away.
Sure, they have them in stock and ready to go for stoves, open fires, back boilers, ranges, and they even make them to measure.
Okay, what's their number?
Hold on a minute, I'll go and get it.
Fire Grates Donegal. Call 086 860 2012 or find them on Facebook. Fire Grates Donegal also deliver to your door, so you couldn't beat that.
Looking for a technology partner to help you reach your business goals? With cybersecurity solutions from Vodafone, your business can hack off the hackers. And with our collaboration tools like Microsoft 365, your business can bring the team together, wherever they are. Keeping your business secure and productive. Make technology work for you with solutions and support from Vodafone. Search Your Business Can today.
Do you know what suits a suitcase? Suits a suitcase like me. What's suitable for a dutiful piece of luggage like me? Shannon Airport knows precisely what exactly suits me nicely. So find out concisely at shannonairport.ie.
Affordable parking, easy access, seamless security and dream holiday destinations like Lanzarote, Paris and New York for a hassle-free airport experience for you and your suitcase. Start your dream holiday at shannonairport.ie.
Starting to think about what's next? Then don't miss Ulster University's Open Days this September. With campuses in Derry, Londonderry, Coleraine and Belfast, find out where a degree from Ulster could take you. Ulster University gives you a fantastic student experience, focused on your future career. That's why we were voted #1 in the UK for Best Universities in this year's Student Crowd Awards. Register now at ulster.ac.uk/open days.
You're listening to Highland Radio, broadcasting to some of the 1,000 millionaires made by the National Lottery so far. Next time you play a National Lottery game, it really could be you. Play responsibly, play for fun. See lottery.ie for more details.
Now, of course, we have Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Maville on board again today, and we have another €200 voucher to give away. And to be in with a chance of winning, you have to answer this question. They say simply answer, but it's not as simple as it has been in the past. It's a bit of fun, actually. So we're asking you to rearrange the letters to make a word. We're looking for an item sold in Breeden's House and Home, and the word is Preact. 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 Reorder those letters to come up with a word that you'd expect to see in a house, of course, and you could win that €200 voucher from Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. So rearrange these words. Keep saying words instead of letters. The word Preact, rearrange the letters and come up with an answer. Right, text your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000 to be in with a chance of winning. So Preact, Preact, rearrange those letters to come up with something that you may well walk on in a house. Text your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000. We'll have another winner of a €200 voucher before the end of this programme today. Going to school back in the 70s, says a listener, we all got Halib Orange, or the drink called Invite Vitamin C, as a precautionary barrier of getting infections. That prevented a lot of sickness down the road. Also recommended from HSE back in January that everyone throughout the country should be on vitamin D from October till April. A caller says, COVID created a lot of good habits for children in my class. Many use a tissue when sneezing, and there's more awareness of hand washing now, which I think is a good thing. I agree with the open windows. I rearrange all my seating to accommodate open windows in class, so that must be coming from a teacher. Good morning. My son cannot even go to the toilet in a certain school. The vape smoke is desperate. They do it in plain sight. Where are all the teachers? We should give that school a ring to see if they accept that there is a problem with vaping in their toilets. There should be no vaping going on in any school in this county in the toilets. There are detectors you can get. You can have inspections. You know, we need our schools to be working against the scourge of vaping in school as well. So we'll give that school a ring to see if they accept that there's a problem of vaping in their toilets and if there are any measures in place to try and avoid it. Because this child's son can't go into the toilet, they say, because of the amount of vape smoke. So we'll chase that up, and I'll give you an update on that a little later on. So we were talking yesterday, and it came off the back of some press releases that were released about the pressures of doing business at the moment. You know, you've got the VAT rate that's quite high. You've got increased wages, increased electricity, other overheads that are making business more difficult. And Daniel Devine is the owner of Patsy Dan's pub, and he joins us on the programme now. Hiya, Daniel. Good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
How are you keeping, Daniel?
First of all, it's my son's installation tea.
No problem.
But anyway, I'm keeping very well.
Good.
I just wanted to speak about the perception out there from the general public is that the pubs are on 9% VAT, which isn't true. All alcohol sold is at 23%. And I suppose people will be thinking, the public will be thinking, well, why is the drink so dear if they're only on 9%? But they don't realise that we're nearly 3 times that.
And also, we're not going to get into the actual numbers of it, but the margins on drink are quite narrow.
They are. But by the time you take all your overheads and expenses and wages and all that out of it, this year we have to enrol the staff on a pension plan, which is going to add more cost. And this year they what would you call it? The rates. The rates on the buildings are all going up this year massively.
Yeah.
Now they've cushioned it by giving you back some of it for the first year, but that's really all it is. It's just a cushion for the first year, so that you'll accept the high rate of rates. And pubs that pay water rates, building rates, insurance are massive. They're all going up and up and up. Now, in the summertime, we would employ around 15 people in the bar. But we're a small tourist town. And when the government brought in that rate, reduced it from 13 to 9, as I said, the perception was there that everybody was on 9 that was in the tourist business.
Mm-hmm.
They brought it in so that premises could maybe reduce the prices for tourism. But the pubs couldn't do that because they were left on 23. The difficulty I had is in a little town like Dunfanaghy, which is going very, very well, I have to say, is that they came into the village, which is one street, and they said, you, and you, and you are going to be on 9%. You, and you, and you are going to be on 23.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all in the business of tourism. We put on music 7 nights a week in the summertime. We're all dependent. We're 90% tourism.
Well, you're the reason why these towns are going so well. I mean, so if you're trying to compete, not you actually, because we'll broaden it out because we're talking about a small area, but if you've got a pub on a street next door to a pub, restaurant, hotel, that's obviously the one business, and that is very much at an advantage with the 9% because what they lose on the swings they can gain on the roundabouts, but the pub next door is stuck on the 23%, but they're having to compete with this business that has breaks in other areas of their business.
Yeah. Well, I'd be like, I don't want to be down in those premises or anything like that, or on 13%, and I'm glad they are on 13, and I hope they get back to 9. But the government introduced that, they increased the VAT from 21 to 23 during the crash. The minister was on there with you last week, said the country now is going brilliantly.
Yeah.
So I don't see why nationwide they can't bring the VAT back from 23 to 21. And that covers everybody, not just the pubs. That's every business. And I'm sure every business could do with that break. You know, it's a big every 2 months. You have to give the government 23%.
Well, 23. It's 23 cent out of every euro that's handed to you. Effectively, 23 cent goes to the government. That's just in one tax take. That doesn't count water rates and everything else.
Yes, right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's one take, and it has to be paid every 2 months. Every 2 months. But no, I just find it hard to take that we're all in the hospitality sector in Dunfanaghy, and that the hairdresser could be on 9%. My next door neighbour could be on 9%, and we were on 23. It's very difficult for a government to come into a street like this, and it's like discrimination, really. That's what it feels like.
I mean, and the bottom line is we know how many pubs have closed, right? So there's been a huge drop off in the amount of pubs in this county over the last 18 years. Between 2019 and 2024, 11% of public houses closed. A lot of those licenses then go to off sales, which perhaps is not the most responsible way to drink compared to sort of on site. But I mean, so the figures are there. 11% of people in the pub trade over the last 4 years have said we can't do it anymore. Enough is enough, and out they went.
Yeah, that's right. And as I said, this year you've got the enrolment of the pension, and you have the VAT rate or the rates going up.
Minimum wage.
Buildings and the minimum wage. So that's going to all add to publicans just deciding enough is enough. We'll close the door, and because publicans have to do long hours. Some of the pubs might start at 10:30 in the morning, not finish at 12:30 the following morning. Yeah.
Daniel, I just want to outline something too that I think we need to understand, in that there's 2 tiers in this very wealthy country that we have. So we have medium-sized businesses, that aren't in hospitality, and then we've got the big businesses which they're in, pharmacy or data or whatever it might be, and all of those people are making an absolute fortune, and fair play to them. I love watching you drive around in your massive expensive cars, and I'm not jealous. Then you've got counties like Donegal and the rest of us, whereby we're very reliant on tourism and hospitality. So when we talk about pension enrolment, like you get a pension in Abbott's, for example, right? So it doesn't, anyone working in Abbott's, as an example, they're excluded. They're all above the minimum wage in companies like that as well. So it is the hospitality sector that a lot of these measures actually affect. So the 23% on VAT's only on the booze, effectively, right? But also a lot of these measures and the living wage and all that kind of stuff. And we need that. People need to be elevated, but it is it's the businesses in tourism and hospitality with some of the smallest margins that it actually impacts, because the middle and higher paying businesses, they're already above all of these measures, if I've made any sense there at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do agree that it's great to get the people enrolled on the pension plans and all that kind of stuff. But for the business itself, it's just very simple. You're either making money or you're not making money. And you can talk about adding all these things on. But if a business is not making money, they just close the door.
I think there's a lot of pubs and restaurants, Daniel, that are just hanging on by their teeth. And really, a good business decision might be to actually close. But they've got loyalty. They've invested a lot in what they're doing. They've probably got a lot of loyalty to the customers. And probably they shouldn't be, but are trying to keep their head above water. And I think I think we're going to see far more closures into the future.
Well, we have a very small population, and we have a very small, loyal customer base. I have to thank them very much. Those small, loyal customer base is just what keeps us open in the winter. Without them, we wouldn't bother opening.
Yeah.
Because all you become is a VAT collector for the government. There could be nothing in it at the end of the day for us, but the government's guaranteed 23%. So, we set up a business abroad out in the islands off West Africa, called the Cape Verde Islands. And that business was set up because it's the opposite season to us. Their season starts now at Halloween and finishes at Easter. It was a safety net that was set up that if in the event, and I'm hoping it won't happen, I don't think it'll happen, but in the event that we had to close for the winter months, we had a safety net built. And that's still in place. And, that's not going to go away, because we'll keep that there as a safety net, and
it's a very clever,
but that was
very clever safety net. But I mean, it's shocking that you sort of having to do that to keep the Irish business,
secure.
That
was done 7 years ago, in the belief that the pubs were all going to be closing.
Yeah.
And nothing much has changed since that. But Dunfanny, now I have to say, Dunfanny is an exception to the rule in Donegal. We're one of the best going towns. Tourism is booming. It's the winter time is the real struggle. But my main gripe really is that some companies or people will be on 13% in the tourist town and the rest on 23%. I spoke to a couple of the guys that are doing the surf shops, and they're on 23%. And so their whole business is based around the sea.
But Daniel, as well, the government need to be a bit cleverer about this, right? Because, we know that Dublin hotels are absolutely ripping us off whenever they can, particularly Dublin hotels. It's not exclusive to that. Why should they get a VAT rate for doing that? We know you go in there and order a pint, it's 10 or 11 quid at times. Why should they be allowed to this is the hotels I'm talking about, why should they be allowed to rip us off but be rewarded for a reduced VAT rate? And unfortunately, we need a more nuanced system that supports businesses like your son's, that is vital to the tourism industry, that's not ripping people off, but gets supports. You know what I mean? So we can't have one rule for Patsy Dan's in Dunfanaghy and another rule for a bar in a hotel in Dublin that's absolutely ripping people off with dynamic pricing and all that crap. And until the government sort that out, we're never going to get through this.
Well, it's those hotels that have caused the problem now for the small hotels.
For sure.
And the restaurants. It's them that's caused this problem, because the government's putting everybody up to 13 for those restaurants. It's the fault of the conglomerate hotels, or whatever, for a better word, that's causing this.
€32 for fish and chips. You get it for 50, 16 or 17 up here. Down in Dublin, it can be €38. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. All right, Daniel, listen, thanks. Sorry, last point to you, Daniel. Go ahead.
No, it's only, as I said, I'll go back to the fact that I wanted to get it across to the general public out there that all alcohol is 23%. They have this perception out there that it's 9% or now to 13%. I just wanted to get that across, because every time I read a paper, listen to the radio, it's all very much, the pubs are on, it's the pubs that are doing food, and it's only the food section of that pub that is on the lower rate. But I'm just glad to get it out there now that let the general public know we're on 23.
All right, Daniel, good
Lovely.
man. Thanks so much. Daniel Devine, he's involved with Patsy Dan's Pubs. His son is the licence holder there.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
Skoda's 2 brand new models are going fast. This is Donal, driving off in his new HVO-powered Superb Combi. And the Breen family, getting their plug-in hybrid Kodiaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't get their order in on time. Order your new Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda. Let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas, Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
We love Irish music and the artists that make it. That's why, as part of Irish Music Month, we're putting Irish music first. Profiling, supporting, encouraging and promoting Irish artists. More song plays, more chats, more mentions and more money in Irish music creators' pockets. Over €100,000 in total. It's all about recognising the importance and value Irish music has for all of us. Irish Music Month. Irish Radio supporting Irish artists. With IBI and Hot Press, supported by Commission Demands Sound and Vision Scheme, funded by the television licence fee.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With over 50 years of serving the community in Donegal, McElhinney's is proud to be part of every moment, big and small. Support local, shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So dry and pleasant today with long spells of warm sunshine. Highest temperatures 19 to 21 degrees in light to moderate south east to east breezes, and that weather will persist right through into the weekend. Darren on Facebook, and I get where you're coming from, Darren, and I don't know, I kind of want to move on to some extent, but obviously, you know, the guests we had wanted, particularly Sinead, wanted to talk about the clean air in a COVID sense. But anyway, Darren says these business owners, and this is then following on from the VAT conversation, these business owners had no problem turning away people during COVID. They were getting free money, but they also were all part of the community. They were all our friends and neighbours, and that's the only way they could keep the doors open. They were under same direction as we were, whether anyone liked it or not. If VAT was reduced across the board, people would be up in arms about all the hotels who've turned away tourists to accommodate asylum seekers. I think people are more vexed, or certainly have been more vexed in the commentaries and conversations I've had with hotels charging prices at certain times rather than accommodating asylum seekers. But anyway, depends on which circles you move in, I suppose. I'm sick listening to pubs crying poverty. I know for a fact a bottle of Lucasade costs $105, including VAT and retail. In most pubs, between $3.50 and $3.80. They'd also pour the drink down the throat of a drunk person. If a person can't make money, get out. Well, it's illegal to pour the drink down the throat of a drunk person. But, you know, like $105, including VAT, is fine if they want to charge that, if you want to sit in your car and drink it. But I suppose if you want to sit in the pub with some music playing, or you want to watch Sky Sports while you're drinking your Lucasade and have someone hand it to you with ice and have a bit of a chat and talk to your friends, there is obviously going to be a premium on top of that. Now, if you think $2.50 per bottle is too much, that's fine, and that's why we have our choice whether we go into places or not. But there is a service charge on top of that as well for the luxury, in inverted commas, of sitting in their premises. It's $3,500 to get an air filtration system put into your house without labour. Open a window and it's free. I know, but you pay in the long, wouldn't you, with fuel bills. I have chickens and pigs kept inside and we have problems with them. They catch every disease going. Cows and sheep stay outside and they're fine. We all need fresh air. And the air in Donegal is so clean, you couldn't get any better. In the 70s and 80s in London, you couldn't walk outside with a white shirt on or it would come back black. All right, interesting comments, as always. We're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices, and on our return, we'll have Community Garda information. So stay tuned for all of that. That's on the way.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
Attention Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. PD Bathrooms and Tiles are proud to unveil our newest and most stunning showroom in Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana. Located right opposite the Northwest Golf Course, we offer unbeatable quality and incredible value. For 30 years, we've been the experts in total refits, stocking and serving as the sole agent for many top brands. Visit us today and transform your space with the finest bathroom and tile solutions. Telephone 93 95 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles, where excellence meets value. Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
That's the sound of someone sleeping soundly on a Restex mattress. Choose from the Donegal range. A Teelan, a Kinnigo, or a Mulroy mattress. It'll change the way you sleep forever. Restex beds, mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Everyone has the potential to save a life. My name is Sean Quinn, Sales Manager in Highland Radio. I now have the confidence to talk directly about suicide after completing Let's Talk About Suicide, a free online suicide prevention training programme from the HSE. Visit hse.ie/Let's Talk to take part.
Maybe thanks a lot. Hello folks, it's Robert Mazzell, stopping by to let you know that myself, the Country Kings and Noreen Rabbit, our very special guest, are heading to the Millennium Forum on the 6th of October. It's the Nashville Songbook Show. It's 50 years of great American country music all rolled into one show. If you'd like more information, go to the box office or go online. You can find the Nashville Songbook Millennium Forum the 6th of October.
You can join David James this afternoon for the Highland Hoolie live from poolside at the Soul Costa Dorada in Salou. Tune in from 2:30 p.m. for great music, lots of crack and fun in the sun.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Katie Gillen with the news at 10 o'clock. Latest figures show commercial vacancy continues to be a significant issue in Donegal. Donegal has the second highest rate in the country after Sligo, while Ballybuffet remains the town with the highest rate in the country. Donal Kavanagh reports.
The commercial vacancy rate in Donegal has increased once again, standing at 19.4% at the end of June. According to EY figures which have been collated and published this morning by Geodirectory, the Donegal figure is the second highest in the country after Sligo, which has a rate of 20.5%. These figures compare to a national average of 14.4%. Of the main towns and urban areas in Donegal surveyed by Geodirectory, Ballybuffet had the highest commercial vacancy rate at 33.6%, retaining its unwanted status as the highest urban rate in the country. Conversely, Bundoran had Donegal's lowest commercial vacancy rate at 13.4%.
Michael McGrath has been named as the new EU Commissioner for Justice and the Rule of Law. President Ursula von der Leyen has announced the portfolios for her new commission. Ireland's nominee, the former finance minister, had been hoping for an economic portfolio. Portugal's nominee has replaced Mairead McGuinness as a commissioner for financial services. Taoiseach Simon Harris is being urged to use the government's Shared Island Fund to subsidise Donegal students travelling to college in the north. The call has come from Fine Gael election candidate John McNulty following Mr Harris's visit to Derry yesterday, where he delivered a keynote speech at Magee College and announced funding for the Wild Atlantic Way and Causeway Coast. Mr McNulty says at present only students travelling from Donegal to third level colleges in the Republic are entitled to discounted fares, and given the nature of education trends in the county, he believes that should change.
As it stands, only those travelling to universities in the Republic receive discounts. I suppose that leaves students heading to Derry, Belfast, Enniskillen and Noma and all paying full fares. and any reduction in the fare would make the difference travelling to and from college. And it might only be a small thing, but then to a lot of people it means a lot to them, being able to go up and maybe come back and have your job at the weekend. And I believe that if anything that they can take the pressure off the parents and students at this stage, I think it's a good thing.
Donegal County Council is being urged to reorganise its winter roads programme to ensure that public and school transport routes are prioritised. Councillor Declan Meehan says in recent years there's been significant investment in public transport in Donegal, especially through the local link service. However, he says that will be undermined if services cannot operate in bad weather.
I think it's fantastic, the investment that has gone into public transport across this area and across the county over the past number of years. But if there's a bad frost, it should not mean that public transport is halted, and we want to see that functioning properly, that it's not completely weather dependent, and again, ultimately allowing more people to avail of it year round and not just in the finer weather months.
8 in 10 farmers feel rural Ireland isn't receiving enough investment in infrastructure like roads and broadband. The same number also say the so-called green agenda has negatively impacted their economic viability. The survey was conducted by the ICMSA ahead of the ploughing championships. President Dennis Drennan says there's no joined up thinking.
Everything is favoured towards people who have options. I mean, if you look at the tax on diesel and petrol as an incentive tool to get out of your car and get onto a bus, that's fine if you have a bus or a train to get onto. If you live in rural Ireland, your only option is to get into your car, and we're being taxed, and it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
It's been confirmed a foul taste and smell coming from tap water in some parts of Northern Ireland is to do with algae in Lough Neagh. The North's Infrastructure Minister John O'Dowd says even his home is among those affected, but he insists the water is safe to drink and Northern Ireland Water has a robust system in place.
NI Water's number one priority is the quality and safety of your drinking water. I'm aware of a number of customers that have been reporting a taste and smell in their drinking water supply. This is related to increased algae levels in Lough Neagh, which contain naturally occurring compounds that may cause an unpleasant taste and smell even after going through NI Water's robust treatment process. NI Water are working to reduce the impact of these compounds as they move through the water supply system and are work closely on a daily basis with the Drinking Water Inspectorate and the Public Health Agency to ensure the water is safe to drink.
And now for the weather. It will be dry and pleasant today with long spells of warm sunshine, highest temperatures of 19 to 21 degrees. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with headlines at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, the 17th of September. The death has taken place of Bernard Dillon, Glenview, Ballyrain, Letterkenny, reposing at his late residence today and tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m, with Rosary nightly at 9 p.m. Removal from there on Thursday morning to St Eunan's Cathedral for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by burial in Conwall Cemetery. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Susan McDade, née Murray, Farna, Rimelton, reposing at her home today from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Requiem Mass on tomorrow Wednesday morning at 11 in St Mary's Church, Rimelton. Burial afterwards in Killydonnell Graveyard. The Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, before the funeral tomorrow. And the death has taken place of Anne Quigg, Bridge House, Ballygorman, Mallinhead. Anne's funeral Mass will take place this morning at 11 in Star of the Sea Church, Mallinhead, followed by burial in Lag Graveyard. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on Mallinhead Community Facebook page. Donations, if desired, to Carndonagh Community Hospital, care of Eamon McLaughlin, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
You know all about Total Football. Fast, fluid, connected. game-changing. Now the LiveScore Bet app brings you the total betting experience. It's everything you love about LiveScore. Scores and stats play beautifully alongside odds, offers, and a slick bet builder. Or switch your play with a choice of sports and games. Everything in one place. Less app hopping, more action. LiveScore Bet. Total betting.
Bet responsibly. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
So we have a lovely €200 voucher to give away today, thanks to our friends at Breedon's House to Home, Bridgend and Maville. And we have a little teaser for you. It's an anagram, PREACT, P-R-E-A-C-T, and we want you to rearrange those letters to create a word of something you'd certainly find in most houses and that you can purchase in Breedon's House to Home, Bridgend and Maville. P-R-E-A-C-T, jumble those letters up. What do you come up with? Text your answer, your name and address to 086 60 25,000, and one of you will be drawn out a little later on in the programme. We had a great reaction to that yesterday, hopefully the same today. Hundreds of you getting involved yesterday. So Breedon's House to Home, Bridgend and Maville, a €200 voucher for their business. Rearrange the letters P-R-E-A-C-T, PREACT, into a item that you might buy in a roll that you'd expect to see in that shop, and certainly in many houses out there. Cigarettes in shops are priced by the government. The same can be done in pubs. The government needs to agree on prices for pints and shorts. The pubs should be fined if they go above these prices. That's the only way we'll stop being ripped off. And on the face of it, that probably seems like a good idea, but there are different operating costs in different parts of the country as well, which, you know, sometimes they take advantage of that, but sometimes I think they need to be that would need to be considered as well. But I appreciate your input there. Could you please give a shout out to the people driving through Malin town to slow down, especially on the street towards Malin Head Lag Road? People need to slow down. It's a busy street. Yeah, be careful if you're down out and about there. No one wants to be knocking anyone over, I'm sure. Also, by the way, we covered on the show a couple of weeks ago, there was a one or possibly two road traffic collisions on Loch Salt, where a section of the road protecting the driver from the lake, it's a very deep lake, some would say it's one of the deepest in the country, if not the deepest, and in fairness to the council, by the way, since then the lads have been out and have done a fantastic job. They've rebuilt that section of the wall. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy, that wall, but they've done a nice job on it. I think in over time it will match in lovely. So fair play to the lads down there for their very efficient work, and it looks good. So in other words, we highlight things and say something needs to be done, but we also have to recognise when things are done, and it's a great wee job they've done there. Hairdressers are paying 23% VAT, says the listener. I've been in business 30 years and will have to close my door with the rise of costs, minimum wage, the pension contribution. I simply cannot afford it. The price of stock, rents, rates, we have to raise our costs when they go up. We have customers coming in and abusing staff. I have a few young girls working with me. They're ready to leave. We've signs up that abuse will not be tolerated, and we've had to tell people to leave. There are keyboard warriors to contend with now too. People have gotten so rude and abusive and they don't want to pay you. Right, wow. I wasn't aware of this. So this is a hairdressing company in business for 30 years, and they're getting abuse and staff prepared to leave over the head of that. Is that common? Have we seen that before? 086 60 25,000 if you're in that business and you see that. This caller concludes, people have gotten so rude and abusive and they don't want to pay you. And I suppose too, in certain industries, and maybe hairdressing is one of those, the government need to make sure that they don't drive sort of much of that into the black market, in inverted commas. Hi, Greg. Just in regards to vaping in schools, my school has a big problem with vaping children, and they're scared to go to the toilet because of it and wait till they come home. This is totally unacceptable. I've spoke with a member of the school, but they do not want to admit there's a big problem. Well, I have the name of the school here. We'll inquire with them as well to see if there's an issue with vaping in the toilets. I mean, people whose children don't vape should not send them to school whereby the toilets are just, vaping dens. I mean, this is not controversial stuff. There are, as I say, there are ways of measuring this type of discharge, but also too, maybe there should be more visits into toilets to ensure it's not going on. Re-vaping in schools. Just to add to your comment about the vaping in school toilets, same thing happening my son a few years ago when he was in first year. He felt so intimidated going to the toilet. He said older boys were forcing the younger boys to try the vapes as well. At a school open evening, while talking to the principal, I mentioned this. His reply to me was that there is an outside toilet that my son could use if he felt too intimidated going to the inside toilet. I was so shocked at his reply. Totally overlooked the issue. Wow. Okay. Listen, thanks for that. I just wonder now, that's a few years ago, and your young lad is obviously progressed through the school years. I wonder if you don't mind emailing back an update. Like, is it still a problem, or did that school put some measures in place to avoid vaping in schools? I'd just be interested in that, because it can, of course, be done. If there is a will, there is always a way. I want to mention too, by the way, I'll get my phone out for this. Because as you would know, a couple of weeks back, we tried to promote by taking part in a day of the Donegal Camino donations to Donegal Cancer West, because we'd done a show from there and we were very moved by the work that they did. They rely heavily on public donations, so we got involved in the walk and we decided to try and raise some money, and we're very close now to drawing a line under that campaign. And I am delighted to say, would you believe, 1 second now, can I count that other donation into the total? Yeah, okay. So we have and can I say who it's from? No, that's the moment. Okay. So currently at the moment, we've got €5,858 raised for the Donegal Camino in aid of Cancer Care West. So thank you so very much. €5,858. That's far in excess of what I thought we could raise. So I really want to thank you that we're all donating this together, right? It's not just on behalf of an individual or whatever. This is all of us coming together to support our community when they're going through cancer. Highland Radio, through the kind offices of Fanula Rabbit, are donating another 1,000 to this. So it's going to be 6,858 at the moment. Now, what about a final little rush just to see how big we could get that? I'm so pleased with what we're able to do at the moment. But if you want to go onto our socials, Shannon will repost it on our socials briefly. We'll keep it open for a little while longer. Or if you just want to go to idonate.ie, if you want to donate to Cancer Care West, before we close it and have your name associated with this fundraiser, you can go to idonate.ie/Greg Hughes. As I say, we're going to be very close to 7,000, just not quite there. Or if you want to make a wee donation, and I'm not going to keep going at this, we'll just do it today before we wrap things up. You can give us a call at the radio station, 07491 25,000, and we can process your donation over the telephone as well. So as I say, at the moment, we're at 6,858. It's amazing. That money is going to go and help Donegal Cancer Care West in Letterkenny. And if you've just... maybe you are concerned about an issue that you might be think related to cancer. Maybe you've just got word, and unfortunately, lots of people have just gotten word that you have cancer, and you haven't yet been told what the journey is ahead of you. Your treatment plan hasn't yet been planned out, or maybe you're going through treatment at the moment, or maybe you're post-treatment and you've come back from Galway or St. Vincent's or wherever you were, and, there's something still there with you. Everyone's saying, wow, Greg, you're looking great at the moment, but you still are concerned about bounce back cancer or secondary cancer or whatever it might be. All of you, that cohort of people, which is many of you, can avail of the services of Cancer Care West in Letterkenny. You can call up to them. It's a very warm and inviting atmosphere with amazing staff, and just sit and have a cup of coffee and see where it goes from there. And I couldn't encourage people enough in that position to go and have a visit and see if it's for you. There's lads there, older guys, younger guys. There's women there, younger women, older women, people who are married, people who aren't, people with children, people who haven't. All of society is reflected amongst those that go and visit there. So don't feel that you wouldn't fit in. And I'm so pleased that we've almost €7,000 that's going to go towards them continuing that amazing work that they do. And thank you so much to all of you who donated. It was great to see someone who had a £5 donated, and then there was other people who donated €250. Someone just dropped in an envelope with €250 in it. I know their name, but they wanted to remain anonymous. We posted that up on the site today. Just amazing. And it's all of us coming together to help each other in our time of need.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, the 17th of September. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S7. It's game number 38. The numbers are 44, 58, 53, 54, 22, 10, 9, 16, 6, and finally 66. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust. Callahan's Electrical is Donegal's top destination for home appliances, offering unbeatable prices on trusted brands like Samsung, Rangemaster, AGA, Neff and Bosch. Whether you're upgrading or building a new home, visit Callahan's Electrical in Letterkenny or Burt, where quality comes home.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Okay, it is Tuesday, the 17th of September, and it's time for our latest instalment of Community Garda information. And in studio with me today is Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station. Grania, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it greatly. Right, we've quite a bit to get through, so we'll crack straight on. And Garda is seeking the public's assistance as they continue to investigate a fatal road traffic collision in Bunbeg.
Yeah, unfortunately, no more sadness and tragedy on our roads again. Garda are appealing for witnesses following a fatal road traffic collision. This happened in Bunbeg on Wednesday, the 11th of September. Firstly, Greg, I would just like to pass our condolences on to the family and friends of the deceased on behalf of me and all at Garda Síochána. The single vehicle incident involving a motorbike occurred at approximately 2:50 p.m. on the R257. So the motorcyclist, a man aged in his 60s, was fatally injured. Garda are appealing for witnesses to this collision to come forward. Any road users who may have camera footage, dash cam, who were travelling in that area at the time, they're asked to make this footage available to investigating Gardaí. Anybody with any information are asked to contact Milford Garda Station on 9153060. The Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111 or any Garda station.
Now, road traffic collision also being investigated in Drumkeen.
Yes, this two-vehicle collision happened at Stralongford and Drumkeen, so they're on the back road to Letterkenny. It happened on Wednesday, the 11th of September, in around 7:25 a.m. One of the drivers was taken to hospital to receive medical treatment for non-life-threatening injuries, and the other driver was uninjured. We're appealing to anybody who may have witnessed this collision to make contact with us. If anybody travelled on that stretch of road, it's quite a busy stretch of road actually at that time of the morning, early in the morning. So if anybody travelled with a dash cam, we're asking them also to make contact and to make the footage available to us. So Gardaí in Letterkenny can be contacted on 9167100 in relation to this collision.
And it might not be relevant in this instance, but just more generally too. I presume road facing cameras on homes that could be useful information on them at times as well.
Of course, yeah. Well, Gardaí would, as a matter, to be procedural anyway, that Gardaí would call to all, would do door to door and would check out footage. Yeah. But of course, look, if there is any house that the Gardaí have inadvertently missed, we would appreciate.
But obviously it's more challenging then. No, that's actually an interesting insight. Thanks for that. Right, we'll get on to Mount Charles now, and investigations ongoing into a burglary.
Yeah, so we're appealing for the assistance of the public in relation to a burglary. This occurred in the area of Stone Park, Mount Charles, in the early hours of Sunday the 15th of September in and around 4:30 a.m, it's believed. The rear door of a derelict house in that area was forced open, entry was gained. So they're still trying to establish exactly what was taken from this property. A couple of people were observed not far from that location around that time carrying a box and a bag to a parked up vehicle. We're appealing to anybody who may have observed these people or a vehicle parked in that area in the early hours of Sunday morning to make contact with Garda in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530. And of course, look, if those people had absolutely nothing to do with this incident, and we would appreciate if they would make contact with us just to clarify that also.
Interesting, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and if anybody travelled in that area between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. with a dash cam, we're asking them also to make the footage available to us.
Okay, now a burglary in Windmill View being investigated.
Yes, so this burglary happened at Windmill View, Letterkenny, in the early hours of Friday the 13th of September, so between midnight and 1:45 in the morning. An intruder entered an occupied property. I believe the occupants were upstairs. The front door had been unlocked, and when disturbed, he then fled via the back door. So he stole a River Island handbag from within the property. There was no cash in the bag, just a number of IDs and a bit of medication and things like that. We're appealing to anybody who may have observed this male on foot in the area in the early hours of Friday morning, or any activity that appeared suspicious vehicles, to make contact with Garda in Letterkenny on 9167100. And of course, again, as with nearly all of our appeals now, if anybody was in that area with a dash cam, we'd like to hear from them also.
That's just a standard part of the appeal now, because it's so useful in investigation. So that was just after midnight, so it's Thursday night, early hours of Friday morning. Yeah. It's not the first time. In recent times we've spoken of what some would call creeper burglaries, and they seem particularly sinister, don't they, if someone enters your property whilst you're in it asleep upstairs.
Of course, and listen, not proportionally blamed to the residents of this property or any other property that this sort of incident has occurred in, but please, we would appeal to people, whether you're in the house or out of the house, you know, especially during the hours of darkness, make sure that your doors and windows are secure, you know.
Is it a good time to maybe just to do a security check around our properties? Because we know from a spate of crimes not that long ago, a couple of years ago, that sometimes, you know, older double doors can be quite vulnerable and what have you. And, you know, it's probably no harm just to check the quality of locks and how resistant they are to interference.
Well, it's always a good idea, but particularly, at this time of year, we often see an increase in these types of incidents, burglary. So please do, people, go around, check, as you say, check the condition, maybe of older type windows, you know, doors, check how secure they are, and if necessary, maybe upgrade them or upgrade the locking system. Maybe look at having an alarm installed in your home if you don't already have one. Make sure that alarm is monitored. We've discussed that before, you know, the importance of that, to make sure that it's monitored. And maybe a few cameras around your property as well. Lights are the biggest thing, you know, make sure everything's lit up inside and outside.
Yeah, that's
good lighting
real
outside.
deterrent, isn't it? And also, you know, we tend to, after we've been victims of these type of crimes, then to check the locks and then maybe to get an alarm. And that's a human nature thing. And I don't judge anyone who does that, but you know, we'll maybe talk about being a little bit more proactive. Because unfortunately there are people out there looking to exploit our weaknesses. Right, we're talking now in relation to a burglary in Fintown, Grania.
Yeah, so this burglary occurred at Shalloganmore, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, in
Can't
Fintown.
help you, I'm afraid.
On Tuesday the 10th of September between 6 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. So a derelict factory in that area, the office of that factory was broken into between those times. A number of items were stolen from within, namely a Dell computer, Dell hard drive and a Dell printer. Entry was gained via the front door. The door was forced open and entry gained. So if anybody, again, we're appealing to anybody that may have observed any suspicious vehicles, activity or people in that area last Tuesday evening. If anybody can offer any relevant information, we ask them to contact Ballyshannon Garda Station on 071 985 8530. And again, with all of our appeals, the Garda Confidential line can be contacted on 1800 666 111.
Yeah, and if they're offered for sale, by the sounds of it, they sound like they might be quite distinctive. I don't want to draw any conclusions, but if they're stolen from a derelict, an office at a derelict factory, they might be bigger than you might expect. I don't know. Keep your eyes peeled anyway. Dell computer, printer and hard
Hard
drive. Criminal damage now in Letterkenny.
Yeah, so this incident happened at a house in Fairgreen Park, Letterkenny, on Friday the 13th of September between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So I think the resident of that house went out to do a bit of shopping. Arrived home to discover that the rear window of the property was smashed. Entry is not believed to have been gained to the house. There's nothing disturbed or stolen from the house. We're appealing to anybody, particularly maybe other residents in that area, if they observed any suspicious activity during that time period, to make contact with Garda in Letterkenny on 9167100.
Our next appeal stroke warning is a tale as old as time, really, and it is bogus callers offering to do work, and it generally often deteriorates from there. And I'll tell you, the biggest telltale here is if you are currently trying to get anyone to clean the moss off your roof, if you're trying to get anyone that will be able to immediately start a plumbing problem or a driveway problem, these people are incredibly busy because they've got very good reputations and they're well known in the community. For me, that would be the first indicator. But anyway, take it away. What info do you have?
Yeah, well, look, genuine and reputable business, no matter what their business they're in, painting, power washing, generally they don't call door to door. They don't need to, as you say. They're extremely busy. They have enough of a workload without, putting themselves out by going door to door begging for work. So that is the first warning sign, really, We recently received reports for a number of residents in the Church Hill area in relation to callers to their home last Thursday. It happened, actually. Men called in a white van. These men were offering to fix the roof or to do some power washing or to carry out whatever DIY they needed around the house, really. While there, they also inquired about items on the properties in question, whether or not these items would be for sale. And of course, that's another warning sign, what genuine businessman or businesswoman is going to call to your door and start making inquiries about items around your home. So that's a warning sign also, yeah. So just in light of these reports, I know we do speak about bogus callers from time to time, but just in light of these very recent reports, we just want to issue a wee reminder. Maybe if there's anybody out there listening who have family members who live alone or who are vulnerable or elderly, we would just appreciate if they would speak to them and advise them in relation to bogus callers. These callers might offer services such as power washing, painting, selling items. They prefer to target the more vulnerable and people who live alone. So we're advising people, don't engage with such callers. Don't open your door to anybody unless you're satisfied that they are known to you or that they have a genuine reason to be there. Perhaps you have contacted somebody, they've made arrangements to call on that day. That's fair enough, you know who they are. Use a chain lock. That's, a bit of added security. They're relatively cheap, can be got in any of the local hardware shops. Bogus callers can be intimidating and can often refuse to take no for an answer. Contact Garda immediately should you encounter such a caller. Try to give us as much information as possible. Description of the person, what they're wearing, the registration number of their vehicle and which direction they turned when they went out your drive. Did they go left, right? That's all of a great assistance to us. And we're asking everybody, all members of the public, please be vigilant when you're out and about. If you see any sort of suspicious activity, vehicles, and if you see any callers or hear of any callers maybe calling to an elderly neighbour, report it to us immediately. And as the old saying goes, just if in doubt, keep them out.
And you don't have to give up your good nature, but don't allow it to be exploited, because if you give an inch, invariably it's going to cost you a mile, and as you say, they can be really, really quite persuasive.
And
okay.
Whatever you want to talk about. We have bogus caller cards.
The microphone's over there, look.
Oh, sorry. We have bogus caller. Well, all of the stations really have boxes of bogus caller cards. And
so what's that?
I'll take some of them and actually
Please
the next day
yeah.
and just to show them to you. Yeah, it's a sheet of perforated cards.
Yes.
And so we would advise people, especially those who are living alone, the elderly, to keep these inside the door with a pen. If somebody, and as you say, sometimes people don't want to appear rude.
I
think it's this thing that we have, and it's just you don't want to appear rude. If somebody comes to your door, look, I'm offering power washing services, this whatever they're offering, you can then tear off one of these cards, put the pen in the card out through the letterbox and say, you're not being rude then, leave your name, your number, and I'll have a think about it. And if I'm interested down the line, I'll get back in contact with you,
And I like the idea of a chain as well, because it means you can open your door, but it just offers you that little bit of security. Okay, and they're not hard. They're not hard to acquire, and I'm sure you might be able to get someone to put it in for you. Right, okay, so Letterkenny Road Policing, busy weekend, Grania?
They had busy weekend out on the roads. I was actually talking to the sergeant in charge of the Letterkenny Roads Policing Unit, and she wanted me to highlight some of these detections just to your listeners today, if that's okay.
Please.
So Friday night, the early hours of Saturday morning past the 14th of September, The Roads Policing Unit Letterkenny, they detected a vehicle being driven erratically. The driver transpired they had no driving licence and they were uninsured. They were then arrested on suspicion of drink driving, and it turned out that they were 7 times over the drink driving limit. So they were charged to appear in court. Saturday evening, same date, 14th of September, they were then out the Roads Policing Unit. They checked a vehicle on their mobility device. This vehicle was 837 days out of tax. They then spoke to the driver. The driver was then arrested on suspicion of drink driving. This driver was 12 times over the drink driving limit. They also had no driving licence or insurance, and the vehicle was seized. They were charged to appear in court. Saturday night then, the 14th of September, Roads Policing Unit in Letterkenny, they were out conducting a MIT checkpoint. They arrested a driver who failed the roadside breath test. This driver was 3.5 times over the drink driving limit, also charged to appear in court. So then on Sunday evening, the 15th of September, the Roads Policing Unit stopped a vehicle. It was being driven in a careless manner. This driver had no driving licence or insurance, tested positive for cannabis. They were arrested and conveyed to the Garda station, and a blood sample was taken there. So a court appearance will follow. This driver also had a quantity of suspected cannabis in his possession. On Sunday night, the 15th of September, the Roads Policing Unit were conducting a checkpoint when they stopped a vehicle and the driver tested positive for cocaine and opiates. This driver was arrested, conveyed to the Garda station, and a blood sample again was taken. A court appearance will follow. A quantity of suspected cocaine was found in this vehicle following a search. So lastly, Sunday night, well, it was the early hours of Monday morning, this one the 16th of September, the Roads Policing Unit were conducting a MIT checkpoint, and a driver again, they failed the roadside breath test. An arrest was made, and this driver was 7 times over the drink driving limit, and again they were charged to appear in court.
Now, Grania, I mean, obviously these are a number of very serious detections. The extent of blood alcohol content is remarkable, but you can't be everywhere all of the time. So in fairness, fair play to your colleagues for getting these people, but it talks to the extent of those out there who are still making silly decisions.
Yeah, and it's worrying. It's extremely, and I think that's why we wanted to highlight this weekend, and really to highlight how many times over the limit these drivers actually were. That, you know, that's really, really frightening. But no matter, look, if you're drink driving and you're driving under the influence of drugs, it's irrelevant. You shouldn't be doing it. But the fact that some of these drivers were, I mean, one of them was, I think, 12 times.
Well,
over,
I understand where you have to come from that. All drug driving above the limit with drink any drugs at all is illegal. Mm-hmm. But when you have someone to a situation, theoretically, not references these cases, where they are completely inebriated and they're driving around in a 1 or 2 ton deadly weapon, with no insurance, it's particularly alarming.
It is. It's like going out in public with a loaded gun, really.
Yeah.
You know, you're in danger in your own life, you're in danger in the lives of everybody else, and it's worrying. It's extremely worrying that so many drivers are still making that poor decision to get behind the wheel while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So we're continuing to urge all drivers not to make that decision. It could have tragic consequences for them, very often does have tragic consequences for them and for other road users. We're asking everybody, if you're going out on a night out, arrange to have a designated driver. Call a taxi or call a family member to bring you home. There's so many other options other than you getting behind the wheel of that vehicle. And nobody in this day and age can claim ignorance when it comes to the possible consequences of driving while under the influence of either alcohol or drugs. So we're appealing to all drivers, please think road safety at all times. Help save lives on the roads by always making responsible decisions. And we're also appealing to the public to please always report suspected instances of drink and drug driving to Garda immediately. So Garda can be contacted on a 24/7 basis at Letterkenny on 9167100, Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530, Milford on 9153060, and Buncrana on 9320540. And as always, in the event of an emergency, please call 999 or 112. And maybe, look, you could have somebody out there listening this morning that has somebody in their family, maybe a son, a daughter, a brother, who they know, you know, on a continuous basis does take a few drinks, goes driving. Please speak to them. Speak to them about the dangers involved in it.
And also just in relation to the public reporting, I mean, for some people, that's not really the road they want to go down. But we're talking about the difference between life and death here. Like, if I were to see someone absolutely blotto driving off and just says, I'm not going to say nothing, and then learnt that half an hour later they were going around a corner and cleaned out a family of 4 and themselves.
Exactly.
How would that rest with me?
Exactly. Well,
You know,
look,
which is the worst emotion? That
Yeah.
maybe I helped the Gardaí, or that maybe I could have prevented a tragedy. Do you know? And that's the kind of the.
Well, I suppose you would feel a certain amount of betrayal towards your loved one by making that call, but at the same time, as you say, you could be saving your loved one's life. You know, you could be saving mother and father with a carload of children. You could be saving their life. You know, and that takes priority really. So please do make that call to us. Speak to the person. Make an anonymous call to us and make us aware of it. You know, so that we could stop this driver.
We know it's tough, and I think that's
Yeah.
you framed it that knowing that it's a tough decision. Okay, Operation Lompar. Umper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is and Garda Síochána have deployed a new unmarked HGV, so heavy goods vehicle, a lorry cab really is what it boils down to, as part of its work to help reduce fatal and serious injury road traffic collisions and to protect vulnerable road users by detecting those driving while distracted. It's going to be used by the roads policing units nationwide as part of Operation Umper, which will provide for targeted enforcement on dual carriageway and motorway networks throughout the country. So far this year, Garda have detected over 15,000 people using their mobile phone while driving. So that's almost 2,000 more than during the same period of 2023. Last month, 421 drivers received a fine and penalty points on their licence when they were found using their phone behind the wheel. So the introduction of Operation Umper is already yielded positive results. Nearly 100 drivers, or just over 100 drivers, have been detected during 3 periods of action using this HGV already, the majority of which were found to be using their phone while driving. So due to the height...
some were watching football.
Yeah.
Some were watching Netflix.
Ah, yeah. Look, you could have people that doing all range. You know, the people that are discovered
People
maybe...
were driving, watching Netflix.
Watching YouTube, you know, sending a text message, answering a text message, you know, things like that. But due to the height of some vehicles, it can be difficult at times for Gardaí to detect. You're going along in your patrol car, sometimes you're not going to see up into the cab of a lorry, for instance, you know. So it can be difficult for Gardaí to detect motorists committing offences such as travelling without their seatbelt, using a phone or any other electronic device. Any type of poor driving behaviour really that can distract and therefore potentially lead to a fatal or serious injury road traffic collision. This HGV will allow Gardaí to observe drivers in any make, model or size of vehicle from a more elevated position, so therefore this will help them to enforce these key lifesaver offences. This HGV will be driven by a specially trained member, and then the observer of the HGV will be responsible for detecting the distracted drivers. The observer will relay the information to the enforcement team working alongside the HGV. There will be an unmarked or a marked car travelling, you know, not far behind. So they then will stop the distracted driver and they'll deal with them on the roadside.
It's interesting. Now, also at this time of the year, firstly, it's a good idea to remind people that you have to be safe and be seen. But we're also coming to that period of time, I think, where you leave the house. It's probably not the best week to talk about because it's bright. It's going to be bright this evening right until the sunset, right? But next week, if the weather changes, we're at that time of the year too whereby it can get really quite dark earlier. Now, the sun hasn't gone down, but the cloud cover and all that kind of stuff. So you could leave the house in what appears to be a lovely bright day, and next thing you find yourself walking in relative darkness. So let's just reiterate that be safe, be seen message, Grania.
We're just going to stay on the topic of road safety here. So we're urging all pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists to ensure that they can be seen clearly when out on the roads. The nights are starting to fall a bit earlier now. I suppose, as you say, it'll be another few weeks yet really before the darkness will be, you know, it'll be 6 o'clock in the evening, I suppose 5 o'clock before you'll see the real dark evenings. But we're just asking everybody, please keep in mind, be safe, be seen. Remember, when you're out walking, cycling or running, you can see the traffic. The drivers might not always see you. If you're cycling, check that your bicycle lights are working before you're going out for your cycle. Motorists, they should ensure that the lights on their car, motorcycle, tractor, whatever they're driving, are all in good working order. For those who have trailers, this is an important one actually, the trailers, please ensure that the lights and reflectors are all in place and that they're in good working condition. And I think it's something maybe we don't check very often. I've been guilty of it myself before now that it had to be pointed out to me, and it is something that's easy to miss.
These
light
appeals, often you say you're guilty of it yourself at times. I'm starting to wonder.
Only the very minor ones.
Exactly the ones you're running up to. I'm starting to think maybe you're a naughty little girl.
Well, you know, a light bulb. Actually, no.
No, because we have to go and do the checkups. You have to check the back end.
You have to get into the habit of getting out before you go on your journey. Really get out. You know.
I mean, you can often not notice for quite some time that a dip or a headlight bulb
can be missing, and you could drive around for a few weeks unless you're doing regular checks.
Once a week or twice a week, just put the lights on, walk around, simple as.
Before you go, yes.
I'll do that myself too, because I actually also would be. You know, your lights out. Oh, is it? I didn't check. So, you can't see inside.
So look, we're asking people to dig out your high-vis vests, armbands and jackets. Ensure when you're going out or on or near a public road that you're highly visible at all times. We've just got a supply of high-vis armbands and vests to Letterkenny Station, so everybody's more than welcome to call in there to collect some if they wish to do so.
Okay, Grania, listen, thank you very much. Actually, before you go, I'd like to report a crime.
Yeah.
Well, at the weekend, I was at the beach and I was going for a swim, and my trainers... what are you laughing at? I'm trying to report a crime here. My trailers and my high-vis vest were stolen. I don't know who it was, but tell you this: they can run, but they can't hide.
Well, as long as all of your clothes that you left lying on the beach weren't stolen, you wouldn't have been so bad.
It was a trainers and a high-vis vest. I said they can run, but they can't hide.
Oh, got it now. I'm a wee bit slow this morning, sorry. I thought
do not put this woman on the confidential line.
I thought this was all you were planning on wearing home, was your high-vis and your trainers when you got out of the water.
Well, that's a different crime altogether. All right, Grania, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. That's Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station. That was this Tuesday's Community Garda information. We'll probably cut the last bit out, but you can watch the rest of it. You can watch the rest of it on our Facebook and the Garda Facebook page as well, or listen to it back on the podcast. And it's back live after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday. We'll be back very shortly.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
Thank you for attending this meditation session for badgers who forgot to check for gas pipes before digging, without knowing how disruptive it could be, putting others at risk and doing it unknowingly for all their working life. And it could have been avoided had they just checked in the first place. Let's begin.
Always check for gas pipelines before you break ground. Visit gasnetworks.ie/dig for more information.
There are silent conversations that happen on our roads every day between drivers and older pedestrians like me. When we catch each other's eye to say, "Do you see me?" or "I'm crossing." But when people don't look out for each other, those connections can be missed. And so can I.
Too many older pedestrians are being killed on our roads. When we look out for each other,
we keep each other safe.
Please look out for older pedestrians. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Be a winner and view the trophy collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Full colour awards, glass and crystal, perpetual cups and shields, sports awards, metal cups and medals. Whatever the occasion, click bmcsports.ie. Budget medals for sports days with personalised inserts to promote your club and school. Full engraving service available at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
Join the team at Homeland Agri Creasla on Thursday 19th of September at 7 p.m. for a sheep breeding information evening. Learn from speakers on the evening, including John McGee, who will speak about ram fertility and maintenance, advisor Brian Dolan on current sheep schemes, and MSD vet Eleanor Brady. Spot prizes, goodie bags and refreshments on the evening. Visit homeland.ie for more information.
Atlantic Travel is ready to book your cruise. Book early to secure the best price and best available cabins, including those limited family suites. See and sail the Greek Isles, cultural cities of Italy and the Croatian coastline, or venture further afield to Asia and Japan, or an Alaskan adventure. Spread the cost with payment plans. Atlantic Travel Letterkenny, the cruise experts, having sailed extensively with all major cruise lines.
The Lidl Kickstart Supplier Development Programme is kicking off. Lidl is continuing to support Irish businesses by giving 45 new Irish suppliers the chance to showcase their products in over 200 Lidl stores. Try everything from Irish hot sauces to fresh family ready meals. In store from Thursday. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Need treatment or surgery? At Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest, you will have access to over 300 consultants and hundreds of treatments and services. Whether you are insured, a self-payer, or want to avail of the cross-border healthcare scheme, Kingsbridge Private Hospital can help. And with guaranteed 5-star care from treatment right through to your personalised recovery plan, we will be with you every step of the way. So why wait? We are only 20 minutes from Derry. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
The Queen of Country and Irish, Margot, celebrates 60 years of music with a very special concert on Thursday the 10th of October in the Mount Derrigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets are now on sale from the hotel reception and online at Eventbrite. Don't miss this special night as Margot celebrates her 60th anniversary.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Support local at McElhinney's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So it'll be dry and pleasant today with long spells of warm sunshine. Temperatures 19 to 21 degrees and light to moderate south to east breezes. Now, we were very saddened to learn of the passing of a member of Letterkenny Chamber Council between 1965 to the present day, and that is Mr. Bernard Dillon. And to pay tribute to Bernard and his contribution to the Chamber and to the town and to people's lives, we're joined on the programme now by Tony Forrester, CEO of Letterkenny Chamber. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Tony.
Good morning, Greg.
So tell us a little bit about Bernard Dillon, who would need very little introduction to the people of Letterkenny and beyond.
Yeah, well, even before my time, everybody knew Dillon's Supermarket in the main street, and they talk about it with such affection. So they were, from what I can gather, ahead of their time even then. And Bernard was passionate about the main street. You know, it was where his business was. It was his bread and butter, basically. And even to very recently, the main street was really, really close to his heart. You know, and you can understand that when your business is there and it's so important to the main street, you know, and having a hotel named Dillon's, I think, is a real tribute to
and also
Bernard was.
Yeah, his foresight as well, because, you know, the Chamber stands on his shoulders now, and others who were there that realised way back in the mid-60s that the town could benefit from a Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you think about Letterkenny then, it was very small. And for this group of people to come together and say, yeah, come on, we'll set up a Chamber of Commerce. And actually, right from the beginning, we wanted to be affiliated to Chambers Ireland, you know, our national body. I think that was quite far-seeing of them, you know. And I was chatting to someone yesterday who knew Bernard longer than me even, and he said he really was a man apart from his generation. He looked at things in a different way. He had a vision about where he thought Letterkenny would be, and the Chamber was part of that.
Yeah, and he was able to employ, obviously, the skills that he had in running successful and establishing successful businesses to the Chamber, because it's really about scale, isn't it? You know, it's what can work at a individual business level. You know, you can upscale that too.
Yeah, and it was funny. I was reading a tribute to him when the Chamber was 40 years old, and the other guys who were involved, Donald McLaughlin and Noel Crossan, Like, they actually attributed most of it to Bernard because he was persuasive. People respected him. And that's really part of it. You know, I mean, even as we go to chamber today, a lot of it's about peers, peer to peer. So somebody will say, you know, I'm in the chamber. Why don't you join? But I think he always acknowledged that it was a tough sell at the time. You know, we had to really go out and persuade people that there was a point to doing this. And when you look back now, you know, I look back at the old history, and we do still talk about some of the same things, unfortunately, but we're progressing. He was president in 1970, 5 years after he set up, and a comment he made again on the 40th was, he acknowledged that it was hard enough work and known as a bit of responsibility, but nothing like what it was like to be a president in the 21st century.
Yeah, and just to reiterate the reality, I mean, obviously when we talk about Bernard, there's a historic element to it because he saw in 65 the need for such a chamber was part of its establishment, served as a president, as you mentioned. But his involvement was right up until the present day, and his attendance was regular, and his views very highly regarded.
Yeah, I mean, right up to our AGM last year, he came to that, you know, and we were upstairs and we were like, oh, look, you know, Bernard, we'll get you up there. But he obviously brought his energy, and everybody respected him. You know, I mean, Bernard would sit here at our table, and he was one of the best attenders, I will say, right up to last year. You know, obviously with COVID, we didn't see as much of him, but his daughter did try and get him on the iPad every so often for our monthly meetings.
And of course, too, he's involved in some of the key events, you know, the St. Patrick's Day parade, the Christmas lights, and one of the first to secure a ticket for the annual gala ball as well. So very supportive in those initiatives.
Yeah, I mean, Bernard was our judge, chair of our judging panel for St. Patrick's Day for years. Very adamant, you know, that we pick the right winners. And then at the gala ball every year, which is now our annual awards, him and Breed would have been out dancing, burst out to dance every year, you know. So, and he always called in to see us at Christmas. And famously, even I was told this, and then I noticed it every year we used to have our AGM in December, and he would bring the mince pies, and that was Bernard, you know. Bernard's bringing the mince pies, and we always have them. So, we hold him in very high regard and a lot of affection because he cared even and through the bad times. When things were tough, you know, recession-wise, and Bernard had well retired by then. You know, he still sat here and helped us through and maybe give us some direction as to how we should steer the chamber.
Yeah, and we can mourn his loss as many will, but celebrate his legacy as well, because it will last forever. And everything that happens from here happens because of he and others who established the chamber in the first instance.
Yeah, we are very, very appreciative of all that he gave us. And I probably just would like to say to his family, Breed, Kieran, Brona and Sinead, you know, our heartfelt sympathies go out to them. You know, Bernard lived a very long life. And it was only at the very end there that he, you know, he was weaker than before. So we just want to pass our regards to everybody who ever knew him. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk around the street stories with Bernard for a long time to come.
Thank you so very much indeed. And we join in sending our heartfelt sympathy to Bernard's loving wife, Breed, his children, Kieran, Brona and Sinead, and all of the grandkids and all of his family, and everyone who everyone who knew him, who will remember him very fondly. His remains will repose at his late residence today and tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. each day. Rosary on both nights at 9 p.m. Removal from there on Thursday to St. Eunan's Cathedral for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass. And you can view that live if you can't attend on churchservices.tv/Letterkenny. Burial will take place afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. May he rest in peace. Now, we're joined on the programme by the founder of Part Promoting Awareness, Responsibility and Care, Susan Gray. Susan, thanks so much for your time. How are you keeping? Can we appreciate it, you talking to us?
Thanks, Greg. Now that you mention how am I keeping, I have a bit of a cold.
That's all.
So forgive me if I lose my voice, which some people would like to.
Don't worry about that. We love to hear you. Right, okay. So We learnt yesterday that thousands are not showing up for their exams, and these are the driving tests. Over 100 in the first part of this year here in Donegal, 6,000 right across the country last year. All paid their €85 to the Road Safety Authority but didn't turn up. We don't know why, Susan. We accept that life can throw up challenges whereby you can't make appointments, but the number is so high, there's something else going on here.
Yes, without a doubt, Craig. Like last year, as you said, we had 6,441 learners that didn't turn up for their scheduled driving test. These are not people that was cancelled. These are people that simply didn't turn up on the day. And the RSA took on over €500,000 from these learners because they charge €85 to book an actual test for these drivers.
The problem too, Susan, because they turned up at they didn't turn up at the last minute. So the thousands of people waiting for a cancellation or a test, many waiting 2 or 3 months before they're even invited. Those gaps can't be utilised to service the waiting times, which I find particularly frustrating.
Yes, as you said, this is the most important part. That there's thousands of learners out there anxious to get a date to sit their driving test and hope that they pass. Then they don't have to be accompanied. Their insurance premium will come down and they're more experienced. These people cannot get a test date because of these thousands of learners that simply don't turn up for the test. And it is unforgivable that the RSA is allowing this to happen and rewarding them. We believe they're actually rewarding these drivers that don't bother showing up by issuing a new permit to them. That shouldn't be the case. The RSA and the government's working to close this loophole, as I've often said in your programme, since 2013, Greg. And we're in 2024, and guess what? They're still working on it. We met, Minister James Lawless asked us for a meeting there on the 1st of August. We attended in his office in Dublin, and we asked him, where was this going? 11 years waiting for this to happen, to close this loophole.
So the key thing is here, Susan, because we're a little bit tight in time, the key thing here is you can't have a learning permit on perpetuity if you apply for but don't sit a test. The key thing here is that if you do not, for good reason, if you do not sit your test, then you should not be allowed to automatically renew your permit. That would put an end to this, I imagine, much of it, probably yes. 80% of it.
Yes. So the question is, Greg, why is RSA and the government dragging their heels for 11 years in this, with broken promises year after year that this will be sorted? It's a simple solution, Greg. Mm-hmm. Stop issuing permits. Make it clear to learners, if you do not turn up for your scheduled driving test date, you will not be allowed. The RSA will not issue you a new permit. Why is it such a hard task for them? We have to believe that there's no political will to change the system.
All right,
and last year alone, we had 15 learners involved in fatal crashes. Mm-hmm. 14 of them were unaccompanied. Greg, it's time that we help these learner drivers, get them to encourage them to practice, to prepare for their driving test.
Well, of course, Susan, that's
6,000 them to actually attend.
Yeah, that's 6,500 to people that are genuinely waiting for one that didn't get one. Susan Gray, thank you very much for your time. We'll make our inquiries as to what the foot dragging exercise is. Susan Gray, founder of Park there.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock and it's time for a news update, and we welcome into studio Katie Gillen. Good morning, Katie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Garda are appealing for witnesses following a fatal road traffic incident in Bunbeg on Wednesday last. The single vehicle incident involving a motorbike occurred at approximately 2:50 p.m. on the R257 when the motorcyclist, a man aged in his 60s, was fatally injured. Anyone with information is asked to contact Milford Garda Station. Garda are investigating 3 burglaries in Donegal. In the early hours of Sunday morning, unknown items were taken from a derelict house in Mount Charles. In the early hours of Friday, a handbag was taken from a house at Windmill View in Letterkenny, and on Tuesday evening last, Dell computer equipment was taken from an empty factory in Fintown. Michael McGrath has been named as the new EU Commissioner for Justice and the Rule of Law. President Ursula von der Leyen announced the portfolios for her new commission. Ireland's nominee, the former finance minister, had been hoping for an economic portfolio. Accommodation on university campuses was oversubscribed by almost 30,000 applications last year. Figures from the Department of Education revealed there were 3 applications for every 1 student bed. The report shows 11,000 units within the student sector have received planning permission, but high costs mean construction has not begun. Taoiseach Simon Harris is being urged to use the government's shared island fund to subsidise Donegal students travelling to college in the north. The call has come from Fine Gael election candidate John McNulty following Mr Harris's visit to Derry yesterday, where he delivered a keynote speech at Magee College and announced funding for the Wild Atlantic Way and Causeway Coast. Latest figures show commercial vacancy continues to be a significant issue in Donegal, according to the EY, which have been collated and published this morning by GeoDirectory. The Donegal figure is the second highest in the country after Sligo, which has a rate of 20.5%. These figures compare to the national average of 14.4%. Of the main towns and urban areas in Donegal surveyed by GeoDirectory, Ballybofey had the highest commercial vacancy rate at 33.6%. And finally, it's been confirmed a foul taste and smell coming from tap water in some parts of Northern Ireland is to do with algae in Lough Neagh. The North's Infrastructure Minister John O'Dowd says even his home is among those affected, but he insists the water is safe to drink and Northern Ireland Water has a robust system in place. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with another update at 12 o'clock.
All right, Katie, thank you very much indeed. Back after the break.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
Raymond Sweeney here to introduce you to heat pump tumble dryers. With these dryers you can save up to 50% on energy use, enjoy softer clothes, and thanks to advanced sensor drying technology you will have wrinkle-free laundry every time. Upgrade your drying experience today with a heat pump tumble dryer, now available at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or the shopping centre, Dunlow.
The thing about hearing difficulties is you can still get the rough gist of most conversations. You know, just about. You might miss some great jokes. The one about the rabbit and the scarf. Like that one. But you'll get a vague idea, and that's okay, isn't it? Not for us, it's not. At Specsavers, we think OK hearing isn't OK. So book a free hearing check with one of our hearing experts today and be part of the conversation. Specsavers. OK hearing is not OK.
Home Store and More is 20 years old. Can you believe it? 20 years of being a part of Irish homes. We started with 1 store in Tallaght, County Dublin, and now we have 24 stores across Ireland. To celebrate our big birthday, we're giving you, our customers, a chance to win new prizes every day all this week. Yes, you heard right. New prizes every day all this week. So come visit us in store or online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Climate change is something we're all living with, and we can all take climate action. Right now, across the country, communities are doing just that. Whether it's reducing energy use at home, planting trees, taking the bus, or harnessing solar power in rural towns and villages. The more of us who get involved, the more we can achieve, because climate actions work. For information and resources, go to gov.ie/climate actions work. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
So
so nice to come to the cinema now the kids are back in school. Might actually get to watch the film for a change.
We interrupt this moment for just a sec to let you know that Aldi's got back to school sorted with snacktastic offers at healthy prices, like mini easy peelers and mini rice cakes from just 49 cent. And for after school meals, fresh Irish meats for under €3 each, like Board Bia quality assured pork belly strips and beef meatballs.
Oh no, I left my glasses at home.
Go all Aldi.
086 60 25,000. We're into the last hour of this morning's 9 till noon show. And hey, don't go anywhere. We don't put all the good stuff first and leave the bad stuff to last. It's quality from beginning to end. Hey, talk about quality. What about a €200 quality voucher for our friends at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Maville? They're sponsoring the show this week. Great to have you on board. Thank you so very much for that. And they've been very generous with their prices. €200 of a voucher each day this week, and we're having a bit of fun of it as well, because you have to think a little bit. Sometimes these can be a little bit, not my fan of them. Is grass green or is it blue? No, we're going to challenge you a little bit. We want you to sort out an anagram for us. The word is preact, Preact. But if you wanted to make another word out of that, what might it be? Rearrange those letters and you will come up with the answer of an item that is in many houses. Comes in rolls, and also you can get it at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. So preact, rearrange those letters. What do you come up with? Text your answer, your name and address to 086 60 25,000 to be in with the chance to win this great prize. I'll announce that winner before the end of the show. Looking forward to that. Hey, thank you so much again, and I really mean this. Since we were on air, and thanks to your generosity and our one mention of the fundraiser for Cancer Care West, we're through 7,000, everyone. I'm so touched and moved by it, and that represents actually really quite a great portion of the total money raised this year through the Camino for Cancer Care West. So thank you very much indeed. If you want to keep that coming, please do. We'll wrap it all up very, very soon, and I promise I won't have the baking bowl out again for a while, but we do really appreciate your help. Hi, I'm writing this text. A dog is constantly barking in Ashlawn. It has to be tied up, barking morning to night. What can we do? RSPCA, I would certainly contact them and see what the crack is. Or maybe if it's in social housing, I don't know. Maybe the council might have a role to play in there. I don't know. But speaking of dogs, we were out yesterday, and we were on a beach. Won't say where. Not a sinner on the beach, hardly at all. Probably been more at the beach today. But wee Hudson was on his little car on the beach, and two dogs ran right up to him and started jumping up on him, which is grand, okay? Now, these dogs are tiny, but they're half the size of him. And he's all right with it. He's not a big fan of dogs, but he's not scared of them. Not yet, anyway. And everyone was laughing and joking. It was all great crack, and I did too. I never said anything because I'm a chicken, right? But I just still don't understand how people don't understand that their dogs might not just be the best thing for somebody else. And it still happens even in the quiet months on our beaches. But anyway, people's habits change. Many opt in for convenience of suburbs to avoid traffic and parking fees in town centres. Places like the dining hall in Donegal Town, service station in Keys Lahey, always busy. Not quite sure what that's about, but anyway, it'll come to me. Now, we're getting close to the end of our gardening season, but we aren't there yet. Paul McLaughlin of Ballochder Garden Centre is going to be joining us before the end of the show, taking your gardening questions. So if you've got a question about gardening or anything to do with potted plants, bedding plants, indoor plants, plants, I'm sure we'll get one about those weeds that come up through your tarmac. We welcome them, even if they come in from time to time. That's grand. Get in touch with us right now, 086 60 25,000, and we'll get Paul to answer any of your gardening questions. Or if you want to send them by voice note, by the way, it might be easier to send them by voice note, and we can play them to Paul. Do that on WhatsApp. You just hold the little mic, 086 60 25,000, because sometimes it can be hard to articulate anything in text, and we love your voice notes. We're not big adopters of it up here, I'm not going to lie to you. But anyway, if you want a voice note, do. Was in Carndonagh yesterday at lunchtime when all the pupils from a school were attending outside the shopping centre, chatting and having the crack. But when they left, the amount of rubbish they left behind was awful, and there's plenty of bins for them to use. All right, okay, maybe it's time we all had a wee chat with our young ones. Pack in the vaping and stop the dumping. Thanks for reading the comment, Greg. This is about vaping. We were talking to a listener earlier. Sorry, we got via email, and she was talking about her son went into first year, and he didn't want to go into the toilets. He found it quite intimidating because loads of older kids were in there. The bigger boys, yourself, they were vaping, and they were trying to encourage younger ones to vape. This parent took it up with the principal at an open meeting and was told there was a toilet outside for the child to use. Can you believe it? Well, they've followed up with an email, and I appreciate it. Yes, it's still a problem in that school, Greg. It continued throughout the year, or his years, but he was better able to ignore it as he got older over the years he spent there. Although my son has now left that school, I have younger sons there now too, who often talk about this happening. So nothing really then, it seems, has changed. Hi, Greg. It is terrible to see small businesses under such pressure, particularly in the pub trade. The VAT rate and increased commercial rates are a factor, but a factor that's being omitted is the fact that hotel rooms up and down the country are taken up with asylum seekers who are not capable of spending rather than tourists who spend. Now, I accept what you're coming from, and I'm going to read the rest of your message, but we just spoke to a person who's in Dunfanaghy, which is an incredible tourism spot, and they're off the back of and still in the middle of an incredibly busy tourism season, and it's only that tourism season that keeps a lot of businesses going through the winter. And the pub we were talking of still faces all of the challenges, and it's not to do with asylum seekers. Now, I know the easiest thing in the world is to sort of say it's asylum seekers, and as I say, I'll read all of your comment. But if I'm in government and I'm sitting there going, hey, come here, they're letting us off with the high VAT rate, and they're letting us off with the commercial rates and the water rates, and they're letting us off with going after them with the old warehouse tax, and they're letting us off with not clamping down on electricity companies, charging them a fortune. Hey, and they're letting us off as well with Sky Sports and BT Sports and all the other sports channel. Absolutely taking the hand at them for the cost of it. They're blaming asylum seekers. You know what I mean? If I was a legislator, I'd be delighted with your comments. But I respect your comment in its entirety, so I'll read it as such. It reads on, the asylum seeker occupancy causes an artificially increased room rate due to the fact that room rates increased based on availability of rooms. It's also reduced the number of tourists who can visit. This makes Ireland artificially expensive to tourists. Tourism has traditionally been one of Ireland's main industries. It's been the lifeblood of rural communities. I'm not anti-asylum seeker, by the way. Government policies are destroying the tourism trade and strangling the economy's rural communities. I don't know what the capacity rate, occupancy rate of hotels is at the moment. I do know anecdotally a lot of them have left, at least half of them, and are in other rental accommodation. I think a lot of the pressures that you talk of now are in the rental market, not the tourism market. But anyway, it's an interesting conversation. I know you're not anti-asylum seeker, by the way. You're just making an observation. You take a load of rooms out of availability, and the prices go up. So, and we might not feel that for another year or two. So I think you're not wrong in what you're saying, by the way. And I know you're not blaming asylum seekers as such. Greg, what other businesses in the country has a 66% profit margin? You know fine well that it's rare for an intoxicated person to be refused alcohol, perhaps, yeah. Is the profit rate 66% on alcohol? Wow, okay. We'll double check that. A caller says lifestyles are changing. Very few drinking and still driving anymore. More drinking at home from off licenses and big stores. Unfortunately, the drink driving statistics are actually are going up. They're not coming down. Drink and drug driving rates are increasing. But the caller goes on to say, fewer eating out with more pre-cooked, ready-to-eat meals and takeaway. Difficult times in hospitality for sure, but no one is going hungry or thirsty. Yep, we are. Listen, I think we perhaps had too many restaurants and too many pubs for a time in certain areas, and people are changing their socialising habits, so that is also going to be a factor. Hi, Greg. Was in Dunfanaghy over the weekend for the Jazz and Blues Festival. Was just like to say congratulations to everyone involved. What a wonderful festival, and all of the entertainment free. Always try and get to it, and please God be back next year. Well done, everyone. Well, I always miss out on it because it seems to always happen either at the weekend or the weekend after that. That I'll be over at the London Vintage Show. Not sure I'm going to do that next year. Probably will give it a break and let someone else have a crack at it. I don't know yet, but anyway, that would be my sense. And I miss out in Dunfanaghy. Would love to go and see that festival there. I've been asked to let you know that Diabetes UK is hosting a meeting this Wednesday at 8 p.m. in the Fir Trees Hotel in Strabane. The event's open to all, and those with diabetes are especially encouraged to attend. Everyone welcome. That's Diabetes UK hosting a public meeting 8 p.m. in the Fir Trees Hotel Strabane tomorrow night. Right, last one just before a quick break. The traffic on the port roads backed up like rally weekend. What's causing this? I don't know. I'm sat in an empty studio talking to myself, it feels sometimes, in Letterkenny. I don't know. Do you know what's happening on the port road? Caroline, she's also sitting talking to herself as well. We're not talking to ourselves, but sometimes you don't realise that you're speaking to other people. I shopped around to try and get my son car insurance. The company quoted 1,100. When I went online, it was €700. Sometimes it's best to get a quote and then do the rest online. Yeah, so use the quote as your bar, and then if you can go up or down, you can always go back to the 1,100. But your son's got 400 quid in his pocket, which is nice. Love to hear it. Love to hear people shopping around. I was chatting to people. I'm not doing anyone out of business because all these companies have different rates, so you can. I was chatting at the weekend to people who there was like 4 of us, and they were all paying like 35 quid for their monthly mobile phone bill, 25 quid, 45 quid, and I says, "Oh, well, you must be getting a handset off these companies," and none of them were. All of them were out of sort of the handset contract whatsoever, and I can't believe that people have the money when you can get the exact same service from the same service provider, or indeed from another provider that piggybacks on their masts for 15 quid. 5G, data, telephone calls, texts, €15. Why would anyone be paying 25 and 35 or 45? All right, maybe if you're getting a handset, right? Maybe you got the latest iPhone or the latest Samsung, yes. But all of the people in this circle we were talking to, none of them had a handset out with this company and paying over the odds. And one of them had no signal at all, which was really quite amusing. But I just don't. There are a few of the companies that you can get them for €12.99, €15. It's the exact same network as that you might be on at the moment. The piggybacking. Save yourself a fortune. Get yourself a nice little phone online or in one of your local shops. Doesn't have to be the best in the world. You'd save the price of your car insurance in some cases. All right, anyway, that's it's not a rant. It's trying to help, isn't it? But shop around and please look at the discounts you can, the savings that you can make also on different mobile phone networks and broadband providers as well. Last year, here's another one actually, by the way, before I go for a break. I was with Vodafone, my Vodafone broadband, and in my silliness, I think it was 30 quid a month, and then it went up to 50 quid a month. Or something, and I let it slide for a couple. Do you know how you say you're going to do something and then you let it slide? 50, 50, 50, 50. I think it was about 4 months of paying an extra 20 quid. And the only thing I had to do was ring them and say, "Can I avail of the deals, please?" Or I'm switching. And they put me back on the 30 quid a month or whatever it was. Absolutely crazy. I paid an extra €80 for nothing. And the reason I'm saying that is the contract's up again at the start of December. And I got an email yesterday saying, due to statutory requirements, we have to tell you that your deal ends on December 1st. And for me to re-avail of it and extend it, I just have to ring them up. But if I didn't, on December 1st, I'd automatically kick up to the 50, 55 thing. So keep an eye on that one as well. That's the consumer advice for one day over.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Today's 9 till Noon Show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
My name is Sharon Ferguson, Mental Health and Wellbeing Project Officer in ATU Letterkenny. After completing Let's Talk About Suicide, a free online suicide prevention training programme from the HSE, I am empowered to make a difference, and you can too. Visit hse.ie/Let's Talk to take part.
The big end of summer sale is on now at Foy's in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny. Get massive discounts on selected rugs, sofas, beds and dining room furniture. Also on cushions, mirrors, artworks, lighting, paint and so much more. Transform your home with stylish finds at unbeatable prices. But hurry, because these deals won't last. Foy's in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny, where your dream home begins. Sale ends soon. Visit foys.ie for details. If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
You're useless. Worthless. I look after the money because you're a dope. You'd be nothing without me. Nobody cares about you. That's what abusers tell us. It's all lies. You deserve to be safe, and when you ask for help, you will be heard.
If you're living with domestic or sexual violence, support is always here. Visit alwayshere.ie or call on Garda Síochána.
Brought to you by the Government of Ireland. Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 21 minutes past 9. We welcome on to the programme now Dennis Drennan, President of the ICMSA. That's the Irish Creamery and Milk Suppliers Association. And it's off the back of a Agri-Ireland or Agriland survey of 1,500 farmers, which sort of, I suppose, tested sentiment, political sentiment. Dennis, thanks so much for your time. Good morning to you. Dennis, are you there? Oh no, Dennis is gone.
Oh,
yes,
good
Dennis.
morning to you and all your listeners. Apologies.
Good morning. That's us even now. I accidentally didn't realise you were on the line. Dennis, come here. What stood out for you from this survey of these farmers?
Well, look, this is a non-political, we're a non-political organisation, so this is just a poll that we ourselves in Agriland have done in conjunction with opinion polls. And look, at the major issue on every farm and every doorstep and every farmer that you speak to at the minute is a drop in income. Like, we've an average drop in income from 2022 to 2023 of an average of 49%, with some of the sectors up to, like dairy sector, is down 69% in that 1 year. And it's not looking any better for this year because, you know, costs have remained stubbornly high. Weather has been atrocious, even though I'm here from the Rataniska and Laois here from the National Ploughing Association. And if Carlsberg done weather for ploughing championships, this is the weather.
Amazing,
you know,
isn't it?
But it's absolutely amazing. Everybody's enjoying it. Like, but I mean, you know, on a serious level, at a farm level, finances are a huge problem. The drop in income is the biggest thing, and it's really deterring, I suppose, and the next generation from getting involved in farming because they just can't handle the volatility in farm income.
And of course, it's going to come down to decision time soon if people want to make change. And it seems, does it, that the incumbents and particularly Fianna Fáil, their popularity is dropping amongst the farming community.
Well, as I said, now we're a non-political organisation, so we had no influence in the poll. The poll was done in conjunction with Agriland. Opinions carried it out on our behalf, and this is just what the people who took part in the poll on Agriland, this is what they came back with now. It seems to be a little out of kilter with other polls that are out there, but I suppose this is specifically a farmer poll. So, you know, the majority of people will be full-time farmers. Two-thirds are full-time farmers. The rest will be part-time farmers. And, you know, main age group, I suppose, between 30 and 50. So, you know, it's a snapshot of, you know, a certain section of the community out there, but a hugely important indigenous industry that's out there that's worth 17 billion to the country.
Yeah, but it's a big amount of people to be polled, because a lot of these polls that are done can be over 200 or 300 or 400 people. This is 1,500 farmers. So you would imagine, and it's from all sectors, regions and age profiles. So it's going to get a sense of what's going on out there. But I suppose if you feel change is what's needed, and maybe many farmers do, where do you seek that change? And it seems that maybe the political establishment, farmers don't feel that it is they. And in fact, they would favour maybe an independent party or a rural party. Is that the read you have of those figures? And I understand, Dennis, just to reiterate, your organisation is apolitical, but we are talking about a survey that you commissioned.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's just look at the survey maybe highlights that there's a need for some of the political established parties to wake up, and that they can't take the farmer vote for granted. I mean, we have a 17 billion indigenous industry in the country, and the difference between that and any other industry is that there's a multiplier effect of about 2.5 of that 17 billion. So you're looking at over 40 billion. Spent in the rural economy because of agriculture. And I mean, if you go to many rural parts, I'm sure Donegal is the same as Kilkenny, is the same as Kerry, is the same as Wexford. There isn't much else other than agriculture in a lot of these areas. We don't have the option of TikTok and Google and all these in rural Ireland. So 14 billion in rural Ireland is a huge number. And, we need to protect that. Like, when you look at the drop in income, if the pharma sector or the tech sector had a drop like that, there'd be a national crisis and we'd have emergency talks and all that. But the fact that our largest indigenous industry suffers that sort of a drop in income, and there's really no reaction, no ripples anywhere from it, is probably what's causing people maybe to consider where their vote is going to go.
No, 27% of those surveyed indicated an intention to vote Fine Gael. Now, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are in government together. Do you think the fact that Fianna Fáil is holding the agricultural portfolio, that is why they are faring less? Again, and this is not really a political question, it's just asking for your observations.
I suppose, look at it, Fine Gael maybe have a new party leader who seems to be, bouncing around, and it looks like Duracell Bunny, he's so full of energy going around, and I suppose any political party that gets a new leader, there's a bounce for a while until people really, I suppose, get an in-depth view of what their policy and their direction is going to be. So I suppose Fine Gael are maybe, on the crest of a wave because of that. And, that's natural. It's any new leader, it's even like a soccer manager. The team kind of gets bounced for a little while until they settle down. So time will tell. But look, at the important poll is going to be when the election is called, whenever that is. And as I said, we don't really get involved in the politics. We're just kind of highlighting and maybe emphasising that, the traditional parties that would have, almost been guaranteed a farmer vote may no longer be guaranteed that vote, and may have to, realise the importance of agriculture to rural Ireland. And, we've one budget left of the term of this government, and there's a lot of promises that were made in the programme for government that maybe need to be delivered on.
Do farmers in this poll see Sinn Féin as a viable alternative?
It actually didn't feature in the poll at all, for whatever reason. As I said, now we had no control over the poll. It was a multiple choice question. Every party was listed, and it was a tick box operation, a multiple choice question as regards which party you felt represented you, and they, for whatever reason, they didn't really register on the poll.
There was questions about asylum seekers and refugees, collectively known as IPAS. That was included. What were the findings there? Or are you surprised at the findings?
No, not particularly, I suppose. Like, as I said now, we've no issue with refugees coming into the country. We were in that position ourselves, not so long ago, and we emigrated to many countries around the world, and we're very successful there. I suppose the question that was asked was, should it be proportionate to the number of people living in your own villages? Like, we've seen villages in rural Ireland in the past number of months, like, having a huge influx of refugees coming to that villages where it might double the population in the village. And the question we just asked, like, should the number of refugees accepted into any town or village be proportionate towards the number of people already living there and the services that can be provided to the local people or to the refugees that are coming in? And we want to make sure there's balance there, that everybody gets a fair crack, including the refugees that are coming in, that the services there to provide, that the services are there in place to give a quality of life to these people. And almost 2/3 said, like, it should be proportionate, which I think is a very reasonable and fair ask of people in rural Ireland.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of adding and subtraction finally, but only 1 in 4 farmers currently know what's happening to their farm. In other words, like, I'll break it down the other way. Just over half of farmers have not identified a successor, which is remarkable because we could go at any time. It doesn't really matter what age they are. And a quarter say they'd sell or lease their farm. So that really means only, 25% know with certainty that their farm is going to perhaps remain in the family and be passed down to someone.
Yeah, it's becoming a huge issue, and it's even more prevalent this year. Like, we have had a number of young farmer forums where our younger members are brought in and asked what are the main, decisions and policies that are affecting their decisions and their ability to farm. And income volatility is the number one. So, I mean, like, young people are looking at farming and seeing the results of the Teagasc, farm income survey and seeing, well, how can I cope with my income dropping 50, 60, 70% from one year to the next. And if I go to a bank and I want to get a mortgage to build a house, like every young person has to do at some stage, or buy a house, or I want to get, borrow a loan for a car or money for a car or whatever, well, the volatility is a huge issue, and that was one of the asks that we have had for the last 6 or 8 years of the government, that they would deliver on an income volatility tool to steady out the income. No other sector deals with the volatility like farmers do. So it's a huge issue, and I suppose what's even more worrying this year is that traditional farmers, that the farmers in their family for maybe 4, 5, 6 generations, they're actively discouraging their children to stay on farm at the moment, because they see the raft of rules and regulations that are being brought in that farmers have to comply with, and it's not a complaint against those rules and regulations, but the goalposts keep moving. So it's very hard for a young person to enter a sector and that maybe needs investment on their farm, and that investment could be out over 10, 15, 20 years investment or payback, and the goalposts keep moving as regards, am I going to be viable in a year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years, or 10 years' time?
All right, President
so we
of the
need stability
ICMS,
within the sector.
Okay, President of the ICMSA, Dennis Drennan. Enjoy the ploughing. Don't forget sunblock.
Thank you very much.
Sunblock, and drink plenty of water.
Absolutely. It's better than wellies and waders here.
And in bed by 9.
Absolutely.
All right, Dennis, God bless you. Thank you very much indeed. Dennis Drennan there, President of the ICMSA. Gardening questions on the way. Get them into us, 08660 25,000. Why don't they do the same as in Northern Ireland? You cannot drive a vehicle on your own until you pass your test. That is the same here. You cannot drive a vehicle on your own here until you pass the test. But what people are doing, you see, and maybe it wasn't clear, what people are doing is you can't renew there comes a point where you can't renew your learner permit until you've sat a test. Sorry, that's the way it should be. Until you've booked a test. So what people are doing is to keep the learner permit going for whatever reason. I don't really know, and I'd love to, if you text us on the QT if you're one of these people that books tests and doesn't turn up to keep the learner permit, because I really don't know why you'd keep the learner permit, because just sit the bloody test and your insurance and everything else could come down. So there must be another reason, because so many people are not sitting the test. 6,500 last year. So let us know if you're one of those people. But the problem is you see, if you apply for your test and don't turn up, then you can actually go ahead and renew your learner permit, and you can keep that again until the next time. And that's what Susan Graham Park and others are saying. If you don't turn up for your test for any good reason, you shouldn't be allowed to renew your learner permit. And I get that. So it is the same. You can't do that here, unless I've read that wrong. Tell Greg that I used to have to ring Vodafone every year, but they changed that last year and have it set at a price. I was €40, but they increased their price by 7 this year. They don't do it for me because, as I say, last year I ended up paying the higher rate, and this year I got an email saying that that's going to happen again. They're required to let you know, but they don't do it automatically. Once the contract ends, it ends. I'm going to take a break. Shannon, relax. One of my family members got an email with a date for his test and didn't see it till after the date. Not everyone checks their emails. They just send out an app appointment in the post. Yeah, indeed. But that's not going to make up the 6,500. They should definitely have another backup system other than email. I accidentally had important emails gone to a spam folder. I must have accidentally marked them as spam, so that could happen. Right, back with gardening questions with Paul after this break.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
At PTSB, our green mortgage gets you moving. Whether you're building, buying, or moving to an energy-efficient home, apply online and track your progress on our portal. And with our dedicated mortgage team to guide you along the way, it all comes together for a mortgage experience that's altogether more human. PTSB. Apply online today. A valid BER certificate of A1 to B3 inclusive is required. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Security and insurance is required. Permanent TSB PLC, trading as PTSB, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At AXA, blocked drains and burst pipes don't worry us. And the kids? Well, let them be kids. From the little accidents to life's bigger problems, these things happen. But with AXA Home Insurance, our 24/7 emergency home assistance will have a fully qualified tradesperson with you quick. Together, we've got this. AXA, know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Motto méidir cliste agat, becheartert plan méidir cliste o Electric Ireland oil freshen. Leis an bhuiineh úsáidan tú a bhrisise síos bhealach mearfachas hana. Ón teas, cócaracht, sailsiú agus tuile, fáil amach an méid bhuiineh úsáidan tú. In aine thura, an lei agus an cinál fearas atá I gceist. Ag déanamh an úsáid níos soléire agus saol níos giile. Le plan méidir cliste ag electricireland.ie. Is go méidir cliste bheith agat, téirmí agus cinílacha a bhaim.
Okay, we've stepped out into the garden with Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballaghdar Garden Centre. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Greg.
How you keep?
Not so bad at all.
You have amazing spuds, I have to say.
Oh, very good.
The roosters went down a treat.
Yes.
I think Shannon divvied out the queens.
Very good, very good.
Roosters very nice mashed.
Yes, I know you never have a bother finding a home for them usually.
Oh, quality spuds, I have to say. This week of weather here, does it matter? I mean, it's lovely, it's nice, but in terms of gardening, gardens, what we're doing, what we're not doing, does it matter?
Oh, I suppose it does matter in the sense it's giving people an opportunity to get out and about in the garden. Actually, you can, because I was chatting to a lady last night, so she spent yesterday afternoon sitting out there, so it's
Wonderful.
nice to get
from that
so
side of it. Okay, does it prolong the life of our flowers at all?
Yes,
or?
it would do, or it would always help, I suppose. Just it's important. People kind of, at this stage of the summer flowers, have got out of the habit of watering them. So maybe if it does stay dry this week, maybe throw a wee bit extra on them. You might get another week or two out of them.
But we saw grass frost last week, and you can see as much as we try and resist, you can't slow time. And we are seeing sort of those signs of autumn, aren't we? A little bit colder during the day, certainly much colder at night, even unseasonably cold. I'm starting to see some leaves on the road.
Yes, funny, this week you can really see a change in the leaves. So the autumn colours starting to come in there, like the real reds and yellows are starting to come out, you know. So they are, so definitely it's time is marching on.
It is indeed. Now, tidying up the garden, obviously, you know, I think if you do it as you go, it's always going to be an easier job, isn't it? If you're lucky enough to have a garden.
Absolutely. And to be honest, if you used like this week of good weather as an opportunity, maybe to get any of the big jobs out of the way, it's always a lot more pleasant doing them in this kind of weather compared to going out and fighting against a rainy day or something.
Yeah, for sure. So you've pretty much got to Sunday at least to see how you can get on out there. Now, as you say, time marches on, but that means that things come around and spring's going to come around. And some of the stuff we can be doing right now is planting spring bulbs. What kind of bulbs? How do we do it?
Yes, spring bulbs. Spring bulbs are very beneficial for the garden in the sense they're a great place to start out if you're starting gardening because they're pretty much guaranteed to grow almost. Very easy to work with, even if you're working with kids. They're
How
good
deep
size.
do you stick them in?
Generally, bulbs come in all sort of different sizes. Generally, as a rule of thumb, you go twice the depth of the bulb itself. So just picture the bulb and sort of you go like 3 times down, kind of, if you know what I mean.
So you plant them now, right? And then what happens is before you know it, you might have forgotten you've even planted. You start getting this explosion of colour then.
Exactly, yeah. It's great. It's a great wee mood lifter for the springtime there. So it is whenever you have that explosion of colour, whenever everything else has been sort of drab for the last few months.
But what options are there? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love daffodils, right? And
Yeah.
you see the lovely houses with the line of daffodils come up, and you know, hey, things are starting to improve. But we can mix it up a bit, can't we?
Absolutely. There's funny, the last few years the bulbs have really come on. Like bulbs have been about for like hundreds of years, but it was traditionally, especially in Ireland, was always based on your daffodils, tulips, and to an extent your snowdrops of that. But there really is a lot more varieties of each of them coming in, and there are a lot more varieties of other stuff.
So what kind of plants are we talking?
I suppose for early colour, like the hyacinths there, crocuses are becoming very popular at the minute because they're out quite early. If you notice, actually the town of Buncrana, if you're ever through that time of year, they've planted a lot of crocuses within the grassland and it's just very impressive looking.
This beautiful bit of colour to welcome in the next year, really, it feels
Absolutely.
like sometimes. And in terms of spacing?
Generally, once again, same as you go twice the depth, you go two bulbs apart, if you know what I mean, like leave a gap of 2 bulbs. Depends on the effect you're going for. Some people like to plant them sort of in regimented lines, almost up the side of the drive, whereas other people go for a more naturalised look, if you know what I mean. But
But other than planting them, there's not much else you have to do to them. I mean, that's just it. You just wait for them to sprout.
Pretty much wait for them to sprout. And the main key for them is, if you want it long term, is to actually let them die back naturally.
Yes.
People are very tempted to cut the lawn in the springtime after they're finished. But
Yeah.
if you let them die back naturally, there is no real work to
There's
them.
a process there too. You're doing the process of them dyeing them back is food for the next year.
Exactly.
And
It's
other stuff,
all
and
the
protection
all the sunlight they've harnessed dies back into them, and then that provides next year's.
All right, blackberries, good time now to see them out and about.
Yes, absolutely. Funny, I was out yesterday, and actually the amount of blackberries in the hedges they're an amazing amount of them there at the minute. Once again, sort of, I suppose, brings people back to their childhood. A lot of people would have went picking blackberries and stuff. Generally, just if you are picking them, obviously wear gloves because they're in briars, and sort of stay away from anywhere like roadsides after they might have been chemical sprayed or anything like that. But there's sort of a free harvest out there at the minute, so they're definitely worth getting into.
And there's, I don't know, is it tradition or do we stick to it? Because there's a time after which you're not really supposed to pick and eat them.
Yes, pretty much September seems to be the main sort of harvesting time for blackberries. Was traditionally said that it was after St. Michael's Day, which is the 29th of September. I could be wrong about that. But they reckon that the puka went about, which is a sort of a malevolent spirit, he went about and he spat on them and made them unpalatable, shall we say. But it's probably just people using sort of folklore to sort of make sense of things back in the day, maybe, because like after the end of September, generally they're going off anyway.
Scare people off them.
Yeah.
Are you making any jam this year?
Jam, I made blackcurrant jam earlier on the year. So
Mhm.
now,
All
funny,
right.
it's once again the divorce nearly happened on Sunday there. I pickled all my beetroot, so it isn't the whole kitchen ended up purple. but we got there.
Well, if you survived that, you're in good shape. Rowan trees, aka mountain ash.
Yes, funny, this year has been amazing. If you see them, if you're driving about, it's hard to miss them at the minute. They're absolutely clattered in berries. So they are the...
Let's have a Google of them here.
Yeah, but huge amount of berries this year, more so than the last few years. A lot of people would sort of...
Are they planted or are they naturally
No,
occurring?
most of them are
Oh,
natural.
right, okay, they're gorgeous.
So they
yeah.
would be. Lovely tree. You can actually buy them. You can actually buy in garden centres, you can buy different varieties
Would you
of
eat
them.
those wee berries? They don't
No.
look very. They look like they're nasty.
Yes, no, you wouldn't eat them particularly.
But they're beautiful to look at. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's get to some questions. There's all the bits and bobs we could talk about, but I want to make sure to get through the texts that have come in. When is the best time to plant hydrangeas and rhubarb from a pot?
Yes, once a plant's in a pot, it can be planted any time of the year. So it can. Traditional time would be sort of autumn or spring. Generally, you'd never plant over the ground's frozen, or would tend to stay away from midsummer too, where it's too dry. So autumn, spring, either time is perfect.
You know, there's a roses question coming. When's the best time to cut them? We touched on this last week, but you know,
Yes.
not everyone listens every week.
Best time
or
to
every
cut them, generally you're into November. You would give them an initial cut back. Sort of that takes the weight off them, tidies them up and takes the weight off them for the winter. And then cut them back to within about 3 to 6 inches of where you want to cut them back to. And then give them a final cut back up at St. Patrick's Day.
We often talk about people with apple trees and they're wondering why nothing has come of them. This caller's got 500 apples in their apple tree. What can I do to stop the birds eating them?
Right. First of all, it's an amazing crop they've got.
Congratulations.
So it is, absolutely.
A lot of chicken poo.
Yeah, exactly. So more mature trees like that, I suppose, would be it'd still be a great crop, but it wouldn't be uncommon, shall we say. Scares would be the main thing. Sort of, you see people putting up hanging CDs off the trees, or even some people put up you get specially designed kites to fly about the tree, which tends to scare away the birds. Once again, this ceased to be effective after a while because the birds are quite smart.
Yeah, they figure it out.
A tree with 500 apples on is probably too big to actually net, if you know what I mean. So sometimes you can just sort of wrap it loosely around with sewing thread. What the birds tend to...
Really what you're trying to do is outsmart them, discourage them, but that's a challenge.
Exactly, aye. So now the sewing thread seems to work. People even use over round bales and stuff because the birds are actually, they can see it and they're actually afraid of getting caught up in it.
Yeah,
So they tend to stay away from it.
Why do strawberries grow split and in irregular shapes with little nodules on them?
Yes, strawberry splitting, that generally tends to be, it's irregularity in terms of watering sometimes, or even irregularity in terms of heat. If you get a coldish evening and a very warm day, especially if you're in a polytunnel or something, they tend to grow very fast, and that it tends to split the fruit. Sometimes if you let them dry out too much, then give them water to really jump on. So if you can sort of maintain the level of watering sort of fairly consistently, like pick a time like every evening or whatever, just keep on like that there. And if you keep them well fed too, they tend to stave off stuff like that a wee bit better.
My son bought a house with a very unkept lawn. What's the best way to revive it without digging it out? Should he put weed killer on it and re-sow it next year? What would work? Now, if it was an established lawn, I think they can get really good results here with, strimming, initially raking that, cutting it down a bit. I don't know what you think. You're the expert here.
Yes.
Depends how bad it is, I suppose.
Well, to an extent, it would depend how bad it is. All right, but I would say the weed killer definitely would be the last resort. Shall we say? I would give it a good strum now. Like you say, remove all the stuff off it, and there's still a wee bit of growth in the garden sort of between now and Halloween. So maybe give it a raking off, let it recover a wee bit, cut it with a lawnmower, and then sort of evaluate it. But even with a machine like a scarifier, you could actually take the worst of the unwanted stuff out of it.
But a lot of that's kind of DIY stuff too,
very much
if you're able. And we have some great places that rent this stuff out as well.
Yes, absolutely. No, so definitely, like I say, the weed killer would be the last resort. I would try and sort of bring it round naturally first, and then see what you're dealing with. As always, sort of, if you're in any doubt, bring a few pictures to your local garden centre, and they should be able to advise.
When's the best time to plant rhododendrons?
Rhododendrons, similar to the hydrangea there, would be, if it's in a pot, you can plant any time of the year, but ideally spring or autumn.
I have dahlias, a lot of foliage on them, but not many blossoms. Is there anything that would help them? I'll put the brochure on them.
Yes, depending on when you put the brochure on them and that, I would tend to go with Miracle Grow at the minute, because it's a sort of short, sharp burst of energy, and generally it works over the course of about sort of 7 to 10 days. So we shot a Miracle Grow now, and that should hopefully bring them on.
How do you plant rhubarb? You have rhubarb, don't you?
Yes, we do.
You're a fan of rhubarb. When's the best time to plant it, and where do you actually get the source material to plant?
Yes, most garden centres would carry it. We would have it down there. Generally, rhubarb comes from what's known as a crown, which is like a sort of big lump of root, basically. But garden centres would sell it in pots. And once again, autumn time would be a good enough time to plant it, or even in the spring. And whenever you do plant it, feed it well with your chicken poo, or even if you're another mature or anything like that there, because they're a very hungry plant.
Yeah.
So if you want a good crop, you have to put in that material.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If I cut back Lelandy trees, will they die, or would it be better to remove them completely?
Cutting back Lelandis always nearly comes in every week as well, so it does. Generally, if you can cut them back as much as you can, but you still have to leave the green sort of outer shell on it. If you cut back into the brown wood, it's never going to green up again. So they might as well be dead at that stage almost. But so trim it back where you're still seeing green, and maybe it might do a wee bit more next year.
I'm not sure about the timing on this one. This might have come in the last time, or if it might be new, I'm not sure. I imagine most spuds would be out now at this stage or not have blight. But anyway, I'll ask you and you can let us know. We've spuds that have blight. Can we dig them out? Are they too fresh to put into storage? Will they rot?
I suppose once again that comes down to what sort of spuds they are almost. If they're early spuds, they probably won't last, in the sense normally early spuds will only last about a week when they're dug out of the ground. Main crop potatoes would stand a better chance of lasting, but generally it's into October before they'll reliably last through the winter. So the best thing to do at the minute would be remove the tops off them and sort of inspect them regularly and sort of leave them in the ground as long as they're not showing any signs of damage.
Right, some of the other advice you have here, what we should be doing maintenance, is a bit wintry. And I don't feel the buzz here. I'm feeling summery.
Yes,
so we'll hold that off maybe to the next time. How's that?
Perfect.
I mean, one here is raise your pots to stop them getting waterlogged.
Yes, exactly.
I don't feel like talking about that this week, Paul. So
no,
we're going to leave that.
No, perfect. We'll leave that for another week.
Okay, listen, Paul, thanks so very much indeed, as always.
Well,
it's lovely to have you in. That's Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochder Garden Centre, which is just down the road from us here at Letterkenny. Paul and his colleagues would love to see you call in, and I know Paul would agree that all of our brilliant garden centres around the region, they're all more than happy to help if you've any inquiries. Paul will be back, I think, maybe one more time before the end of the season. That'll be in a couple of weeks, but for now, we'll be back after this break.
Today's 9 till noon show comes to you in association with Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville. Great offers on sofas, suites, beds and dining tables. All furniture, all this month at Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Moville.
Experience total relaxation in the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran. Recently awarded Best Hotel Spa Getaway at the RSVP Spa Awards. Enjoy luxury spa baths, revitalising facials, rejuvenating massages, pampering body treatments, outdoor hot tub and tranquil Japanese garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spa at Orchids transport you to another world. See holyroodhotel.com.
Summer nights, wild camping with the kids, in the garden.
Excuse me, we interrupt this summer moment to let you know Aldi's got back to school sorted. Stock up with organic porridge oats and raspberry jam to start their day right. Crunchy granola bars and raisins mini snacks for lunchboxes they'll love. And make midweek meals more exciting with classic fajita dinner kit and everyday essential spaghetti. All from as little as 55 cents. So you can get back to summer.
Can I come back inside, Mum?
Go all Aldi.
Get the right tools or equipment to get the job done with great hire deals at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Everything from diggers to power tools, dumpers to portaloos, and pressure washers to cherry pickers. Watson's offer a fast and reliable service. To book, call Watson Hire in Letterkenny on 9167777.
Printing. At BizPrint, they take care of it all. Great quality, low prices, and a fast turnaround. Call today on 9177955 or visit bizprint.ie.
Hamilton is coming to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre on Monday 21st of October 2024. This hugely popular musical is almost sold out, but here at Highland Radio we've got you covered. We include luxury transfers, overnight stay at the 4-star City North Hotel Dublin, your ticket to the show, and a shopping trip to Dublin the next day. To book, simply call us on 074 9125,000 or visit the outlet at highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenney's. Support a local Donegal business with McElhenney's. From fashion to home essentials, find everything you need for any occasion. Shop McElhenney's Ballybuffet for quality you can trust.
The weather here is glorious. The sun is splitting the rocks. It's 19 to 21 degrees. There's no wind. It is absolutely heaven. The only thing we don't have is a pool to sit around and drink cocktails and other things at. But they have that in Slough. David James is in Slough. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Greg, we have about 10 degrees to spare. If we could send back maybe 4 or 5. How would that help?
It would do fantastic. What is the crack like over there, David? I've seen some of the videos and everyone is just having a fantastic time.
Oh, Greg, we are having an absolute ball. We're on day 3 or 4. Every day feels like a Saturday here at the moment. We're having an unbelievable time. The sun is splitting the rocks. And already we have some people booked on for next year. Would you believe it?
I would. And this phrase, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, I'm sure is very relevant over there.
Well, I seen somebody yesterday with a full fry and a pina colada. So that sort of speaks for itself.
So, you're going live with Jive Time live from Slough. I can already hear there's a fantastic atmosphere and everyone's enjoying themselves. Talk to me about the show.
Oh, I don't know if we're going to get these people home at all. Yes, Greg, we're having a great time. The Jive Time is going to be coming live today from 2:30, 3:30 Spanish time, but 2:30 Irish time as usual. We're going to have some guest singers. We're going to have Claudia Buckley on the show. We're going to have Matt Levy on the show, John McNichol, Olivia Douglas, and lots more. And we're very much looking forward to it. We're going to have live music by the poolside. I think it's the first time that Highland Radio have ever done an outside broadcast in a foreign country by the poolside. So we're very much looking forward to it.
All right, one big last cheer before we say goodbye. Hello, everyone.
Greg.
Yes, sir.
Just before we let you go, I really don't think we can come back here next year without Mr. Hughes. What do you think?
I'm actually going to go and buy my shorts. I'll see you next year. See you soon, David. Take care of yourself. All right, thanks very much for that. David James live from 2:30. Now, Dr. Kevin Lally is a consultant specialist, addiction psychiatrist, and a member of the College of Psychiatrists in Ireland. He joins me on the programme now. Dr. Lally, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thanks, Greg.
Right, now, reading today, and unfortunately we've come across this with features we've done on the programme before. HHC drug is there and it's out there and it's use, and it feels very much like the head shop story 10 years on. How concerned are our medics and how concerned should we be about this?
Yeah, we're very concerned in the College of Psychiatrists about this because this new product, this synthetic or man-made version of cannabinoids, is actually very risky for people's mental health. And people may not know that because it's currently available in shops and online in Ireland without any controlled substance legislation.
How can that be?
So in 2010, the Novel Psychoactive Act banned lots and lots of substances and banned them by class so that you couldn't just market a new version by making some change to their chemistry, and that thankfully wiped out huge amount of illicit substance misuse that was really, really bad for people's mental health and physical health on occasion, and that was really successful. But now what's happened is that there's a new loophole that's opened, that there's a cannabis product called CBD, which is actually not controlled and it's legal to purchase. You'll find it in the vape shops. And what people have done is that they've chemically modified the legal version of cannabis CBD into this new version of HHC, which mimics the effects of the final three-letter acronym THC, which is the real risky banned substance in cannabis in Ireland. So what they've done is they've modified the legal version, and therefore they found a loophole in the legislation.
Is it a case, do you think, say for instance like restricted dog breeds, the legislation is there, the government can add a dog to that breed. Is that the same with these types of products, that the list is there that you referenced and they could add HHC to it if the will was there?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That a simple short-term fix would be to add HHC to the list of banned substances, but I think they probably have to go a step further to anticipate any other versions of HHC which may be chemically distinct, and probably ban it by class and ban it in a kind of a more broadly sense.
What implications are we seeing? What effect is this having on people?
So it definitely affects people's mental health for the worse. In some cases, it's just making people more anxious or agitated or a little even confused. And at the extreme, you're dealing with psychosis, delusions, people thinking things are true that aren't true, getting very angry at their family and friends for no reason, behaving in really erratic and strange ways. And what's really concerning is that people who may have been actually tolerant of regular cannabis are using this in a vape form and having these new, unusual psychotic events. And what's doubly concerning for us is that children, adolescents, young people are assuming that because it's available in a shop, that you can buy it online or in a bricks and mortar store, that it must be okay for your health, it must be fine.
Nothing wrong with it, because
absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now I'm not saying that's the case, but that would be the perception, because there's a lack of knowledge there. And the reason I mentioned it earlier and was keen to speak to you today is because it's very possible it's odorless for the most part, right? You're not going to smell it on someone's breath. My point is there could be families and parents out there that are noticing changes in people's behaviour and wondering what's happened to Greg, why is Greg acting differently, and not to alarm, but we need to be aware that it could be something like this, because it does feel very much like Groundhog Day with the head shops.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's any parents out there listening of young people and they're worried that they may be doing something new and unusual, their behaviour has changed, we obviously, understand that in teenagerdom there's lots of changes in behaviour. But if there's something kind of fairly recent or something that's happened on a very short period of time, people are acting differently, strangely, and can from being erratic to all the way towards being just keeping to themselves much more than often, check in with them. And then there's loads of drug and alcohol services available in the HSC and with partners. Check the website www.drugs.ie, contact your GP for advice on HSC addiction services. If you have concerns as one of your family member or children are using substances, and for any children or adolescents or anybody using HSC themselves, if they're listening, if you feel that you can't give up and you're not able to have a period of abstinence, can't take a week off, a month off, that probably is a sign that the substance has control of you rather than you have control of the substance, seek help.
We have to be really careful, because it's not a big step from vaping, and so many of our young people are vaping. All right, Doctor, thanks for helping us, for getting the message out. I really do appreciate it, and have a lovely day.
No problem. Thank you.
Dr. Kevin Lally there. Right, our competition winner today is Sheila Harkin. She correctly answered the question, which was carpet. She is in Buncrana and doesn't have too far to go to spend her €200 voucher, and indeed might be buying some lovely carpet from Breeden's House to Home, Bridgend and Maville. Right, we will have another €200 to give away tomorrow, and all the usual features and conversation. Stay tuned, because we have Michaela Clark coming up around the Northwest.